And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Well, it is a bright, sunny day at Starbase. The sun has cracked the horizon, and as you can see on your screen, the OLMB is hooked up to some cranes, and we believe is lifted off the SPMTs. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you may be on planet Earth in the Sol system. I'm Gene Rowley for NSF, and we are here to watch this Pad B OLM get lifted over this amazing flame trench. I already said the thing. I still don't have a picture in the upper right-hand corner. Guys, it's time. It's time. I'm joined this morning by Adrian Bile, all the way from the other side of an ocean. Adrian, good morning. Or
Good
afternoon to you.
morning for some definition of morning. It has been quite a morning. And yes, we have an OLM in the air. There's so much interesting things to talk about. There's and also potential of a static fire later.
Oh my gosh.
It's quite a way to start this Monday morning, or to quote somebody in chat, welcome to the Super Bowl of movement logistics.
Absolutely. Starbase, the city that never sleeps. I can say that now. It's truly the city that never sleeps. Also joining us this morning is D Wise. Good morning, D.
Good morning. It is a lovely morning, a beautiful morning out at Starbase, bright and early, and I am really excited to be here hanging out with everyone as SpaceX makes this. I mean, this is some pretty huge progress right now to see take place.
That's not an understatement. Huge is the right statement. 1,100 tons of steel and, I guess, solder, right? Welding steel about to be lifted. And also, as Adrian said, a static fire, potentially over at Massey's. There's some venting going on over there. We will bring you all those images and commentary. In the field today, Gage got a text, hit the road, and is out there somewhere now in Starbase. So you'll see those pictures when Gage gets out there. Obviously, there'll be some birds in the pictures as well. Pressing the buttons in the control room for us this morning, the one and only Jay Keegan. Good morning, Jay. I guess it's afternoon where you guys are, but this is an exciting thing. This is the next step, the next stage, the next big milestone. We've been watching this Pad B OLM get built for what, Adrian? 2 months, 3 months? It's been
Quite longer.
Was it? I feel like it's been only 3 months at Starbase. Everything is, the times are all weird because you watch the high bay go up, and then you're like, oh, that's really, really big, and the windbreak come down, and then all of a sudden they have 2 mega bays and they're tearing down the high bay, and you're like, wait, they just put this thing up. Yeah, it's the time scales get all weird, but it's been several months.
Yeah, like the first parts that we now know are OLM parts, we didn't know back then, were arriving around 6 months ago. But of course, that's like how to define even start building, right? Like what's the exact stage here? So it's gonna be quite an interesting day to lift this. What is about over 1,000 tons of weight in place. They have, I will say that quickly while we're seeing this here, they have quickly placed it down again after it was lifted about a meter into the air. However, I think there is a very likely reason that they just did some load balancing. Checked it out. Like this lift will not be done in like 20 minutes. This will be a multi-hour operation.
Yeah, we expect this to take a very, very, very long time. When we were watching Starbase Live earlier, we were commenting there was one of the workers who was just kind of sitting there on one of the OLM legs, watching the sunrise, just kind of waiting until the day started. And I started to reminisce, like, hey, that's how you want to be. You just want to be relaxed and calm and nothing at Starbase. It feels like it happens really, really fast, but these guys, they're professionals and they're going to lift this thing. Now, let's talk about how this got here, because we watched it being built, and then the 3 SPMTs, the modular transporters, rolled underneath it, and then we all gawked as this enormous thing rolled down the road. And if you're not watching what we call the dailies, and not really dailies, but they're little mini Starbase updates, and Doss and Adrian and Alex commentate. They do the voiceover for them. If you weren't watching that, go back and watch, because Doss really kind of let it hang out there. It was a lot of fun watching that one. And now they have it over here. But let's talk about what this is. D, let's get into the, no pun intended, nuts and bolts of this thing. When they first started laying, I would say, the keel for this, D, Jack was out there, Gage was out there, Caesar was out there getting all the pictures, and we were trying to figure out, how is this going to work? What is this going to look like? But the internals were finally laid out with all of and there are still some hold down clamps missing, but this is a massive, massive structure. You lose the scale. And as a photographer, and that's why I'm coming to you, when we talk about the size and the scale of this thing, from a photographic perspective, talk us through how you would photograph as this being built. You can only get across the road, right? Like, you're not walking up to it, you're not flying over it. I mean, we do every now and then, but it's so massive. How far away do you have to be to, like, get the whole thing?
Yeah, so it definitely depends a lot on, is there a rocket on board? So when we are photographing a full stack out there, and you're at like 24 millimeters, which is like a pretty standard focal length if you're on a camera, that's like a pretty go-to. This is the amount of zoom you'll have a lot of the time. Like, you can get too close that you can't fully fit the rocket in your frame. Now, when it's the OLM, then that's the sort of thing that you'll be able to just fit that in the frame. But to give some perspective on how big this is it will hang off on both sides of the road. It was hanging off both sides of the road as it was making its way to the production site. And this is, I mean, you can see, if you have some people near there, this is just an absolutely massive structure. So it's hard to see it as large when it's surrounded by these towers, which are also massive, and cranes, which are massive, but it overhangs both sides of the road on its way to the launch site. So yeah,
Didn't it hit a tree? Didn't it, like, move the brush out of the way? As it was, when they first got it out of the yard, they were coming down right in front of the Starbase building, and it was like,
yeah,
I
and
know,
they regularly have to move like signs out of the way as they're doing these moves here. Like, we're used to them having to adjust as they're moving things into position here.
Yeah, you can. Is it me, or is it? No, it's me. Every time I look at it, it looks like it's lifting. Maybe that's just my hope and dreams that it's moving up. Adrian, let's get into those nuts and bolts, as I mentioned earlier. This thing has how many? It's got how many hold down clamps? And I'm putting you on the spot. I know I'm doing this. And it's designed to sit on the legs just off to the left. You can kind of see that red girder that on the left. That's there are two of them. There's an alignment girder there. But this thing, it's got, is it 20 hold down clamps, or is it the outer ring is 20 engines?
Right now it has 4. That is
Yeah.
is the technicality, and I think that's also a crazy thing we should mention. You know where they're lifting this from? From these hold downs. You can see the crane is not attaching to the corners. They're attaching to the middle, and they are basically attaching to 4 installed hooks there that they are using that to lift this. So just to point this out, they are using the hold down mechanism that will be later used to hold down a super heavy to lift this thing. And if you thought a super heavy and a full stack is heavy, this thing is also not that shabby. Again, think about 1,100 tons. So yeah, it's quite a lift. And you see, there's 2 cranes here attached to it at the same time. And what will happen, just to describe this lift, is they will lift it a bit, then the SPMTs below it will roll away, and that's kind of the okay. Now we are in the air, right? That now it's kind of go time, and then they will lift it up just enough, and then the cranes will roll over. Both cranes will move in unison to the spot where the OLM is right now to place it on the left. So this will be, and I think it's in the air again. Yeah, it's in the air again. A bit. It's a tiny bit in the air again. But moving this thing will be quite crazy.
Yeah, keep watching the bottom of it to see, it slowly lift, and it's going to be slow. So something else that's going on right now that we have to talk about is the work going on over at Massey's. We've got Ship 35. And I don't know, Jay, if you've got a shot of that, if you want to switch over to that real quick, we'll talk about what's going on at Massey's. Because if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it says Pad B OLM plus Ship 35. If you were watching yesterday like the rest of us, they went for a static fire yesterday. And Adrian saw just a little bit of the deluge off to the left-hand side. And that's Ship 35 on the static fire stand. So we don't have a timeline for this. We don't know when they're going to fuel load, but we do know from our team in the field that the klaxon is going off over at Massey's. On the right-hand side, you see test tank. Is it 16.1? 16? Is that right, Adrian?
17.1.
17, sorry.
17, sorry.
17.1.
Test tank 17.
I need you to tell us straight, because yesterday was your writing on the screen. It was like, oh, that's test tank 1/7/17 something or other. But they started. Thank you for the split screen. They did start venting this morning, so we're going to be kind of watching both. The real point is this OLM B lift, and as I said earlier, this is a huge milestone as they move forward for the Pad B construction. Already people are sending in questions. Guys, you can send your questions in at NASASpaceflight in the chat, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. I promise I will get to as many of them as I can. We can't get to all of them, but let me just go real quick around the table here. Let's see. At NASASpaceflight, frost lines on S35. I don't know. We had one of the cameras. When we get a camera back on it, we'll let you know. Astro Sandy. Let's see. Any next static fire at Starbase at NASASpaceflight? That's GeoFS. Again, we'll be watching that over at Massey's today. So I can tell you right now, I don't think there's any frost on there because Alex can see it from Spain. He's in the back channel telling me there's 100% no frost on it.
Also, it's still open. Massey's is just closing right now. So they will. This is a very rough estimate, but it could be somewhere in the 9 to 10 a.m. local time frame where we expect that static fire. So yeah, we will be here quite a bit today. To word it like that. There you can see that's the nitrogen part of the tank farm that is just spooling up a bit. It's like a very early part of the process, and that process will move over to liquid oxygen and then the methane side.
Mike Gardner has a great question. At NASASpaceflight, can a tower chopsticks assist with the lift of the OLM? I don't. I mean, they've got a plan to lift it with the 2 cranes. Could it though? Maybe, but I don't know how that logistics would work. They have obviously reconfigured the cranes to lift this load, but I think that's a great question. I think it could, but they probably don't need it. Adrian, what do you think?
No, I mean, yes, in theory, is there some application that they could have used? Yes, but I mean, we already see this thing in the air. Like, they obviously opted to not do it. Oh, so yeah, I think the answer is could, yeah, would, no.
So, D, here's a question for you. Robert Van Rees wants to know, at NASA Spaceflight, do you think the OLM will get a rebuild as well?
Ooh, like the Pad A and
Yeah.
I think in due course, once we see Pad B operational for a while, it makes sense for them to switch to their updated design. But I think they don't want to take the downtime of a complete rebuild and replacement until they have another option for launching Starship. They want to keep developing, and it doesn't make sense to hold off on the development at all just to update the design of the one that is currently working, even if not their final design.
Adrian, back to you. Starcrafter says, at NASA Spaceflight, if they static fire today, how soon do you guys expect to see a full stack? They just want to see the patch, I think.
Yeah, that's very understandable, and there's a few parts of answering this. There's the fact that basically almost every SPMT at Starbase right now is either at Massey's or below this OLM. So that's a bit of a thing. At least that's what we assume, based on the fact that there's most likely SPMTs at Massey's. But overall, I think in the remainder of this week, if today's static fire is successful, I would say somewhere closer to the mid to end of this week, I would totally think there could be a static fire. Full stack.
A full stack. I also want to go back to the previous question and ask you, what do you think is going to happen once this Pad B is operational and they see it working with the dual flame trench? What do you think is going to happen to Pad A?
We know that. So that is, I think, 2 Elon presentation ago. But we know that their plan is to majorly rework Pad A once Pad B is operational. So I think we will see a bit of a back and forth where they will then apply new learnings they have to that pad again, and then it will basically bounce back and forth again. So Pad A, once Pad B is operational, Pad A will go offline for a bit, and then we will hopefully see some new updates there as well. And that's a significant rework. Like, that pad is outdated.
Yeah, absolutely. You think they'll swap chopsticks? I think they're going to I think they'll shorten the chopsticks once they see these work. Obviously, dual flame trench, et cetera, and they're already working on the tower in Florida. But they want to see this one. They want to get data from this one. It's like a rocket, like they're building stage 0 all over again. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. Let me thank some folks here. Knight, thank you so much for becoming a Pad Rep member. It is your support that allows us to have these cameras and these amazing photographers and folks in the back channel and everybody doing the work that they do. So thank you for joining us. Bruce Cooper gifting 10 Red Team memberships this morning. Bruce, thank you so much for that support. If you get one of those in chat, be sure to say thanks. We appreciate people sharing the love of rocketry like we do. Love a Launch, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. And also, Johnny, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Your generosity goes a long, long way to bring more people into the NSF fold like chicken legs. Buck, buck. Hey, chicken, how are you doing? Say hello in chat. By the way, everybody say hello in chat. Where are you this morning or this afternoon if you're on the other side of the planet? Waiting to see this OLM actually get lifted up in the air and rolled across. Go ahead, Adrian.
They're in the air and there's just a person casually walking by. That thing is very much in the air, and they're just casually walking below it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to see this thing light up with water, right? So the tube on the right-hand side, we know that that's one of the water transfer tubes that's going to send it to the water-cooled steel plate up on top. And then the flame trench underneath is going to erupt with water. And if you've been watching Starbase Live or any of the updates, hey guys, Germany, lots of Germany this morning. Vermont. I love Vermont. It's one of my favorite states. If you've been watching Starbase Live, you see the gigantic green pipes they've been laying from the water tank farm, if I don't know what you want to call it, over to this flame trench and eventual orbital launch mount. These things are massive. They're going to be moving so much water, and I can't wait to see. They're going to have to test it without a ship, obviously. That's going to be really interesting to see this thing launch. Just the water up in the air. I didn't know they were going to have the sprinkler head. And Adrian, because this is a weird concept to me. They have the sprinkler head over at Pad A, right? Which kind of sort of works, at least just not digging a 30-meter hole in the ground. Did they flip that concept upside down for this water-cooled steel plate? Are we going to see water erupting out of the top of it? Or is it just underneath to keep the top cool?
It's kind of like water everywhere. So in there are these two massive flame shovels, basically, that will have like tiny little holes in there and will be water-cooled. Inside of the pad, there's a lot. Yeah, basically it's a class. It's a very classic, honestly, like flame bucket design. Mm-hmm. And the same goes here for the pad. The pad itself also is supplied by these water lines, and then there's like smaller lines there that will auto erupt with water. So basically every single surface that the rocket exhaust comes in touch with will be supplied by this high pressure water line that is connecting on. When we now you see the opening on the left of the trench, and there it will connect on the right side. There's basically the end of that tube. I'm not sure if we are able to bring up my telestration, but I can.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not sure if we can do that.
Jay's like, oh gosh, I gotta hit buttons.
There it is. So basically, there on that side, the water will connect, and then it will. There's at the very bottom here. There's like the top of that connection, and that basically is the beginning of the shovel that goes to both sides. That basically can then distributes that water. So that is how it works. And the same goes with the OLM. The water will flow through these pipes, and from there you can see got smaller pipes that will distribute it throughout the OLM, and then basically also make sure that from their side as well, and we'll go up here. So basically that's how this works. So yeah.
Excellent telestration. Everybody in chat, give Adrian some claps, some props, whatever, thumbs up.
I really need a pencil for this.
Are you doing it with your finger? Is that or your mouse? Oh yeah, you need a pencil. That we need to put that in the budget. And you have numbers apparently too. That's what they're saying. So we are waiting. It does look like it lifted just a little bit more, or it might also be the angle of the sun as the sun comes up, the shadow's changing, but it's definitely off in the air. It's off the SPMTs, and you can see, Adrian, if you want to point out the back end of the SPMTs, those big white boxes. That's because it's battery operated, so you can see the three of them just barely on the right. Yeah, there's one, and then the middle, and then there's just. We're waiting for those to move. And when those start to move, I mean, we'll see this thing. I think it'll come up a lot higher before those begin to move. But that's really the what we're looking for, because as soon as those SPMTs move out of the way and this thing is high enough to move over, how do you think they're going to control the sway when the two cranes start to roll forward? By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not asking D a lot of questions, I'm letting them get coffee and wake up a little bit, because this was a rush job. Just to let you guys know, we were like, oh my God, it's in the air, let's go. But we got D.
To be fair, D and I were both on Starlink tonight.
You got Starlink?
And, yeah, there was a Starlink tonight that didn't launch that well. It didn't launch at all, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to bed like 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's plenty. You're fine. I mean, I fought wars on less than that. I'm kidding. Oh, somebody's talking. We got Robo D.
Robojack.
Robojack?
That was Robojack, I think.
So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for those SPMTs to move out of the way. and then we'll really this is going to lift up. And then I want to know, because both cranes have to move at the exact same time, or Adrian, you think they'll move one then the other when they kind of inchworm it forward, or you think they'll both roll? Wouldn't that cause it to sway?
They will roll like basically in perfect unison. That is the plan here. That they were basically slowest speed, as slow as they can, just step by step, and this will take some time. I want to quickly emphasize this again. They will not move this quickly, because you pointed out swaying, and that is by far the biggest issue that could encounter here. They will make sure this is absolutely balanced. Like, that's what they're also doing right now. They balance it out. They make sure everything looks perfect, because you don't want to set down your like 1,100 ton heavy OLM on an angle, on a steep angle or something. That would be the worst.
Yeah. John has a question at NASASpaceflight. What's the estimated tonnage of this launch table? Now, it's absolutely estimated. There are a lot of smart people trying to figure that out, but we think it's right around 1,100 metric tons. Isn't that right, Adrian?
Yeah, I think Ryan Hansen also estimated between 1,100 and 1,600. Like, it's somewhere in there. Of course, SpaceX didn't put it on a scale for us, and had like nice numbers to read, but that's like the estimated ballpark of this.
Yeah, that's crazy weight. Creative Bites at NASASpaceflight. Are the two cranes synced via connection, or are they two drivers working? I have no idea. That's what you're asking the wrong guy. I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
How this works. The logistics of this blow my mind. So, if we were to answer that with just made up, like wrong answers only, I think they've tied a string between the two, and they've got a couple of tin cans. Like, okay, I'm moving forward. I have no idea. It's probably two expert drivers that are in radio comms. That's what I think. That's a great question, but we don't know. I don't know how they build a crane to lift that much weight anyway. So I'm not a crane expert. Who's the crane expert, Adrian? Do we have a crane expert? Where's Ryan? Ryan Weber.
Aren't we all like at this point becoming? No, I'm like I'm also not a crane expert.
I think we're more experts in cranes than we ever thought we would be.
Yeah, that's a good
right.
Like the surprising amount of knowledge we have about cranes. It's like,
That's the Liebherr 1100D and the Apex configuration. Like I never thought we'd be talking about stuff like that. Here's what Gene does: big yellow crane with orange girder. That's what I know.
That's what Adrian said yesterday. It was the yellow crane with the red on it.
I'm an expert.
That's a small crane. Those other ones are big cranes. That's what Gene knows. Gene's not a crane. Guys in chat, if you know how this works, let everybody else know. They are connected by computer. One operator controls both cranes. Oh, thanks, Kai. That's great. Let me get that up. It'll be up in a minute. A great point. There are people in chat that are much smarter than we are, which is not hard because you guys are all space nerds like the rest of us. So, D, where would you set up for this? If you're not out there right now, I know Gage is out there, and I think Jack is on his way out. But where would you set up for this to shoot this lift at Starbase? Because we can talk about that location.
So there are definitely two different perspectives on this as far as where I would want to be. For one, I would want to be sort of out in the salt flats area. You can get reasonably close. I wouldn't want to be too close as this lift was happening, honestly. But you get a really clear line of sight to Pad B, especially with its change of angle. You could also, if you're a bit west of the launch site, up Highway 4 a bit, you can be a bit closer to your vehicle, and that would be a bit less of a walk with all the camera gear. But I would definitely have a camera out in the salt flats area or in the area of the dunes, but farther south, so you have that clear view to the OLM here. Like we've got, we've got some great shots here. The team's doing a lot to get all the best views we possibly can for this exciting lift.
They almost pointed this tower directly at our river camera. So from river, it's just slightly offset, but this should be when they get this thing lifted and rockets on it and launching from river, we're going to get some amazing from river. We're going to get some amazing shots. That's what I was going to say, is in the dunes just to the south, because you can look past the Tower A, Tower 1, Pad A, whatever you guys want to call it, and get a clear shot of it from the backside. Because on Highway 4 over by the build site, aren't you looking at the fuel gantry, the propellant gantry? So from a lift perspective, and on your screen, let me kind of explain where we are. If you've never been to Starbase, the shot on your right of your screen, the propellant gantry is going to be off to the left. You could just see one of the legs where they're gonna put it. Once it's lifted, they're going to set it down there. On the left-hand side of your screen, you're seeing 180 degree, almost 180 degree opposite shot. So you're seeing one of the legs there with the scaffolding and almost in the center, and then you see the two girders off to the right. The propellant gantry would be off to the right. So our cameras are almost positioned, I wouldn't say 180 degrees from each other, but they're about 100 degrees. So on the left you see one side, and then on the right you see the other, which is really actually the perfect position to see this thing lifted up. We saw the legs roll out a couple weeks ago. We've seen the concrete trucks come and go. And if you've been watching Starbase Live, you really got to see this thing, not just the launch mount itself, but the whole flame trench saga, as we were all trying to speculate, how are they going to do this? What are they going to do? And we saw them building the flame buckets, et cetera, et cetera. Keep the questions coming in at NASASpaceflight. Again, we'll get to as many of them as we can. And you guys have a lot of questions about these, but also a lot of great comments in chat about how the cranes are going to move. And I mean, keep it up. We all want to know if you've got something. If you've got something that you want to tell everybody in chat, put it in chat. We'll talk about it. Let me thank a couple more folks. Anonymous store message. Scrubs Not Ruds greeting from Finland. Hey, Steve Reed, thank you so much. Yes, we do have a static fire potentially going on over Massey's right now. We're watching this thing. We're hoping that this approximate 1,100 ton launch table gets lifted up. We're going to watch that all day and set it across. But there is some venting going on over at Massey's. They tried to do a static fire yesterday, so we'll be watching both. Also, and what did you buy? Oh, the new Re-Entry Club shirt. Awesome. By the way, if you do go out to shop.nasaspaceflight.com, be sure to check out all the great stuff. Oh, we got some more venting, Adrian. Is that the same? Or is that...
No, that's the same venting.
That's the same? Okay. Just a different camera angle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a perspective with that. Basically, what you see there is still the nitrogen site, because of course that is the first thing that will cool down here, and then over time we will see it going further. On this view, it will be going from the right to the left a bit, and then we will hopefully see these subcoolers there, or these vaporizers there, starting to get frosty. And once they are frosty, they should start methane loading very soon. But that's probably an hour away or so. Like they probably are about an hour or so away from loading propellants.
Frosty vaporizers. That's what we all want to see. Put that on a shirt. Frosty vaporizers. Brianna, thank you for that tip. A tip for the morning coverage of the OLM lift, possibly S-35 static fire. We're all hoping that it happens today. We've seen them lift, and this is very SpaceX. Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Up, check it, put it back down. Make a change. Lift it up, check it. And as Adrian said earlier, the weight and balance of this has to be almost perfect. Because you don't want to lift it at an angle, and you certainly don't want to set it down at an angle, as Adrian said. I'm just quoting Adrian. If you've ever done anything like that, you're going to damage it, all these other pieces and parts, and you don't want to damage any of them. So, but thank you for that, Brianna. We appreciate it. Go ahead, Adrian.
Oh, I was just like, it's everything here. Like they even the last few days they worked on making sure the receiving end of the 4 pillars are also balanced out. So yeah, it's a very, very centimeter by centimeter operation. I think it's lifting again.
You were just
Yeah, you can
agreeing
see
with
the
me, agreeing with you.
yeah, you can see it. You can see it. The light and everything. Like you can now see it on there. The gaps increasing, but they are lifting it again.
I don't know what to make of this one, but I'm going to read it anyway. Bill, thank you for that $10 super chat. Rumor has it Harold and Red from the Red Green Show have duct tape and are assisting with the move today. Quote, if they don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy, end quote. But hopefully they find you both. How about that? There's probably a lot of duct tape going on with this move today. Again, up, down, up, down. They have to get it exactly perfect. And yes, the people in chat are like, yeah, they're probably, the cabs are connected. Just because there's an operator in there doesn't mean they're actually doing anything. They can roll this thing forward. I can't wait to see it roll. But as Adrian said, this is going to be a long, long day. They're going to go as slow as humanly possible to make sure that everything is exactly right. But which is almost exactly what we saw, which we see kind of with everything that they do with these big lifts. I mean, they do it with the tower arms, with the chopsticks. All the weight and balance has to be just right. That's why when they were building the flame buckets, they left those the 2 tubes off the middle so they could lift it up. And then it was actually, they were building it, upside down, something like that. And they had to rotate it to get it in the right spot. And I saw, I think on one of the flyovers that we did, some of the tubes, they're putting smaller tubes in. This is a massive piece of engineering. So just stay stuck on Starbase Live, because if you're a tank watcher from the old days, you know what we mean. Stay on Starbase Live, and you'll be up to date with all of the information. Let's see if we can get some more questions. There you go. Next, NFL wide receiver at NASASpaceflight. Will this OLM use more water per second than the old OLM from Pad A? I like how we call it the old OLM, that old piece of technology. Do you remember when, Adrian, and D, you can jump in on this one too. Do you remember when Elon posted, and this was, 5 years ago, he said, not having a flame trench might be a bad idea. We're about to find out. Do you remember that text?
They found out.
They found out. That didn't age well.
By the way,
I think all the photographers found out as well that not having a flame trench was a bad idea.
This is true.
I was about to ask you that, D. How much do you think will the inclusion of a flame trench improve liftoff shots?
So I think it will be a very dramatic improvement, because we love the liftoff shots at Starbase, but you kind of have to be aware, like, there's going to be a lot of dust heading your direction. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you line up with one of the legs of the OLM. Your camera will get covered by dust at some point. Now that we have potentially the directed thrust here, like, once the rocket has cleared the pad, okay, all that thrust, there's still going to be dust that gets thrown up. It might start to block the camera a bit, but the engines from the moment the engines start to fire on Pad A, it will start to block your shot. And you have to frame with that in mind. And sometimes that creates really cool opportunities where your entire shot's covered with the exception of a small window where you can see the rocket, but other times it just covers the rocket. So there is a huge trade-off of your shot will get covered at some point. Whereas if we have this flame trench, which we're going to have, and it's going to create an incredibly cool directed thrust. So it'll keep cameras clear for a long time. We're going to be able to get way more liftoff shots of Starship, and potentially even more shots. Like you've seen some cool ones, I think, from both Max and Jack, of shots that are aimed well above the launch tower, such that they can look up at the engines, get some of those really cool engine shots that you love to see. We're going to be able to get more of those when the exhaust is actually directed away from the cameras here. So I know that the existence of a flame trench is definitely not for the photographers, but I like to think that they did it for us.
That means I'll have to get a second. I'll have to get a second metal print from the store to get you to sign
look at that.
both.
Can we get Jay go back to that other shot, please?
Yeah.
Look at that gap. They are definitely lifting this now properly, which could mean the next step is the removal of the SPMTs.
Please move the SPMTs.
Highest it ever has been.
All right, let's get back to that question about the water. Is it going to use more water? I'm thinking yes. I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. I don't know how much. I don't know how much Pad A uses. A giant upside down shower head probably uses a lot. Adrian, what do you think? More or less on Pad B?
I think more. I also know that from documentation of the last environmental assessment, they are increasing the allowed storage capacity of water. So most likely there will be more water. I would not be surprised if we see way more water here.
Up. It's still going up.
Look at that.
Yeah. It's definitely going up.
Yeah, that's
water?
A proper lift.
I think they'll use more water. D, what do you think?
It'll be kind of hard to tell because it's also going to be directed so differently. With Pad A, we get such a clear view of just how much water is used, and here, I mean, it's kind of going down, but like we're not going to have a great view of exactly how much water is used. Perhaps it is going to be more water, but at the same time, perhaps this new design means they need even less water. They can conserve that water to have all of it for landing, like trade-offs. But I mean, they have the water at the ready. Why not use it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if Jay's already prepared for this, but if we can also bring in a side view Massey's here, because there is also quite a change here. You can see there on the left side of Massey's, I will once again use my tele. That is not the nitrogen side. That is the oxygen side that is now spooling up. And our teams at the ground, Gage in this case, has confirmed there was also very, very loud venting coming from Massey's, which is most likely the vehicle depressurizing, which is usually a step in front of them starting to load. So more parts of the tank farm becoming active here at Massey's, and that is a very good sign for potential refiring of Ship 35, which, while this OLM is exciting, honestly, Ship 35 static fire, that's also quite exciting.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, the reason we're talking about the Ship 35 is because they static fired it once already. They did a single engine fire, which simulates a on-orbit relight of a single, and I believe it was a sea level Raptor, and then they did a full 6 Raptor static fire, and that is where they had the issues. Now we saw them roll it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adrian. They rolled it back. They did some checks. Then they rolled it back to Massey's. They tried to do another static fire. At least we think they did. They fully fueled it. Well, they fueled it enough for a static fire yesterday. And then water deluge for about a split second. And then it's been sitting there ever since. So they recycled. And now we're waiting for this one. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. They have to get this one right, Adrian, because we don't want repeats of the last flight 7 and 8.
I will take other opinions here, but I will totally say that this is one of the most high stakes moment of the Starship program so far, in terms of how impactful it is and how big also the falling height is. That's more of I think even the methane side spooling up there. Yeah, it's gonna be quite a thing to see. Hopefully, see that thing static fire, and then hopefully launch. Like, I mean, D, I'm getting some additional input here from you, but I think the next launch, the stakes are quite high.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
last launch we could say that there were high stakes because like they were hopefully going to recover from a step back, but with them not making any real improvement, yeah, this is a huge deal. We really need to see Flight 9 go well. Hopefully they've gotten a better understanding of exactly what has gone wrong. They're able to resolve it, and we can actually have a successful flight with proper reentry of ship, test deploy of the Dumbelink satellites. Like, this is a really important launch. It doesn't seem like it because like it's not like the goals have changed dramatically, but the stakes have been increasing with the last two launches.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that beautiful vent on the right-hand side. That looks really good. Is that Gage's shot? Is that Gage out there?
Yeah, could we
yeah,
do some
yeah, that's
other
Gage.
views?
That's really good.
Do we have another the other camera for Massey's as well? I just want to quickly see where that vent is coming from. That's the lock side. That's the middle part is the lock side. So the lock side where was just quite aggressive there. Interesting. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
that was the thanks for that. That was the view that I was looking at earlier. This is a different look at that sucker's just going over there. They're getting serious about it today. So it's going to be a long stream. The bad BOLM continues to rise into the air. And we were just having a discussion in the back channel about the two beams that were going down the middle. We all thought they were temporary alignment beams, if you will. And now looking at it from the different angles, you can see that they seem to be integrated into the legs with their own, I don't want to say struts, but I don't know what you would call those, buttresses underneath them. And now we believe that those are going to stay underneath the OLM, which would make sense. I mean, if you have a big hole underneath, they're going to get blasted or they're out of the way. And some engineer somewhere said, hey, let's put these up there to make sure that these legs are structural and in the exact right place. They could remove them afterwards. I don't know, but we'll see. But now we're talking about it in the back channel that those two big beams we thought were temporary might not actually be temporary. I don't know. As a new member, a new Red Team member, thank you for joining us here at NSF. There's a lot going on. You can go to our shop. You could look for some shirts and obviously wait around for the patches. And by the way, Adrian, someone in chat said that we probably need to wait until the ship lands in the Indian Ocean or wherever it splashes down before we reveal patch 9 rather than the stack. We got to change the superstition dynamic there. Jeff's. Go ahead.
I will tell you that the design this time has accounted for that superstition.
Jeff, thank you so much for gifting Red Team memberships. We appreciate your generosity and your support here at NSF.
Is it already translating?
Are they going to just lower? No, they can't. I think
they just tested a bit of the translating move.
Look at the guys just sitting there in the lower right-hand corner like, you think this is going to work? And I don't see any movement from the SPMTs at this point. That's 1,100 metric tons being lifted by two cranes in unison. We've seen some crazy things at Starbase, and we thought moving this would be. Yeah, we thought moving this to the launch site was going to be weird to see, but now we're seeing 1,100 tons being lifted. I don't see any activity at the SPMTs, Adrian.
They might. They might
lift it and then lower. What if they don't?
I think what they're gonna do here is they wait for it to full. Like there might be some minimum swinging here, and you don't want to set workers below it while it's swinging. And also remember, the SPMTs are remote controlled, so they don't need a worker right next to them. But I think they just wait for it to like get final confirmation it's not swinging, and then they will move the SPMTs.
Yeah, a lot. It appears that the right-hand side, or what people are calling the back, might be a little higher as well. I think that's just a perspective from the camera view. I could be wrong, but as we talked earlier, they want it level. They don't want one end higher, one end lower, because when they go to set it down, and I'm talking to the people in chat right now, when they go to set it down, the front end, if you will, or the left side of your screen will strike first. That's not, they do not want that to happen, because then all the weight is on that side. So from a perspective issue, from this vantage point, this camera, it does look like the back end's a little bit higher. It's not. It is. It's going to be level, and they load tested it 5 times. I think Ryan Weber was like, he wanted a counter of how many times they lifted it up and down. This is definitely a lift, Ryan. This is definitely in the air. Now move the SPMTs. Move the SPMTs, and we'll see this thing. I want to see these cranes move with it. That's gonna be crazy.
I'm looking at the chains. Like my best indicator right now to see it's translating. Like looking at the OLM can be a bit deceiving. What I'm looking at is the crane chains there in the bottom right. Mm-hmm. Like once these start to rotate, then you know it's like translating. So yeah.
I have my mouth hovering over part of it to see if it starts to shift at all. And I love, as you see some of the people in the foreground there, you get some of the scale of just how massive this OLM is.
Yeah. Instead of bananas, we're using people for scale. And you're right, D. This thing is absolutely huge. Absolutely massive. There's the shot from the other side of the launch tower.
The drone.
Yeah, they've got the drone flying around. Yeah.
I say small. I always say like small drone. That drone is actually quite a big drone size. I think.
Whoa! Did you see that?
Yeah, it completely went up, right?
It just shifted.
What is it? We talking about the drone or the OLM?
The mount. It looked like it just shifted kind of suddenly. That was interesting.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
We didn't see that, and hopefully it doesn't shift anymore. Jack, where are you? We have you on comms now. Where are you from perspective from this tower? I wonder
I am near trailer, so I am looking sort of. I don't know. I'm about 100, 150 yards from trailer.
Okay. Well, your calibrated eyeballs will see it a lot better than our cameras at a distance. So hopefully it doesn't shift anymore. Shifting would be incredibly bad, Adrian.
It was just like the side closer to the road from my perspective. It looked like it lowered down rapidly, shall we say, like, I don't know, a small amount. It surprised me.
Yeah. But so they do have the ability to those two, I don't know what to call them, and then when I say it, people are going to eat me up in chat. Those two red pieces that are connected, they're load spreaders. I believe those have the ability to independently raise and lower if they will, because we see this a lot. In the old days, they would raise up a ring segment and or a barrel section and flip it over. And so they have some, for the lack of a better word, translation ability just in the cables and the load spreaders themselves. I don't know what they're called. I'm not a crane guy. A little bit. So maybe what we saw was them lowering it to try to get it exactly level or something like that. Because when you say it shifted, something moved that typically means something moved that wasn't intended to move.
I would ring the calm sign here, because there's people going under it. And I bet you if there was any sort of unexpected movement, people would not go under it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree. We did see some people walking around the SPMTs. And by the way, if there was a problem, there we go. There go the people to the SPMTs.
Some of that sort of shifting Jack was talking about here.
SPMT time. Mm-hmm. They are definitely starting up the SPMTs.
We have so many questions. So many questions. Thank you guys so much for the questions. We're literally just talking about what we see on screen. But we expect them to move these SPMTs, the modular transporters, out of the way, and then the cranes will start to move forward or translate, as they say in the crane business, Adrian, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they say it in crane business. That's how we call it.
Yeah. So on the corners closest to the camera, you can see these two pieces kind of hanging off the corners. Do you think those are like lead-ins? They're guides for when they start to put it down?
Yes, these are basically the corner lead-ins.
But they don't put it on all four corners.
Well, the funny thing is that what we should maybe mention, I think, is the mechanism they used to install this. Basically, the whole mechanism that was placed at the Sanchez site is the same mechanism they will now use to mount it to these four legs. So they kind of already have experience with the same mounting mechanism, and that is why people call this a movable launch pad. I wouldn't go as far. So that's basically the idea. You can remove this. Of course, it will be. We see right now it's not a trivial operation. But in theory, the hold downs that are attached to all four legs will be able to removed again, and then they can remove this thing again if they ever choose to do so. Not trivial, but it can be done.
Yeah. There's the drone again flying around. But yeah, you can see it's been rotated a little bit. They have the ability to move it very precisely. And from the crane perspective, this big red, I want to get the right word. Come on, somebody in chat, help me out here. Those have the ability to move slightly. And then, of course, it's connected to cranes, so they can, as crane operators, I know they're called load spreaders, but there's got to be some other name. Everybody says load spreaders. Okay. Yeah,
that's what we use. By the way, they are intentionally rotating the pad. Over the last 2 minutes, there was wow. That's if you rewind it, it's quite a change.
Yeah, they've rotated it, and they got to get it perfect because, as you said, this sits down on the legs, which they've now bolted in place and more than likely concreted as well. They have the bars going across, the alignment bars that we see there, and you see the little buttresses that I was talking about earlier, just above the scaffolding in the lower right-hand corner, not really in the lower right-hand corner, in the middle of the screen. That if we had a telestrator, he could actually highlight the little buttresses for those alignment. I'll just cue the telestrator.
No, I'm sorry. I was scrolling around other things.
I'm just playing around. Wonder what the drone is looking at specifically over there. It doesn't seem to be moving around that much. They're focused on this corner a lot, or they're just hovering, waiting for SPMTs to move, because there are people underneath it moving around, getting things. Is it coming back down?
No, they are rotating it, and they're also shifting the axis. Like I think they just raised the part that is further away from the tower. They're shifting it around.
That's crazy.
How much confidence in your lifting do you have to lift around like this enormous structure?
That's amazing. That is a great view from Jack's perspective. I really like that shot. We'll see that in a little bit. Yeah, I want to be the drone operator, just flying the drone around gigantic rocket pieces and Stage 0 pieces.
Yeah, so, you and me both.
If you're just joining us, welcome. We are NSF. We're a group of rocket nerds and friends that do this because we love it. What you're seeing right now is 1,100 tons of steel. Oh, you can see it rotating now. Now you can see it rotating. 1,100 metric tons of steel being lifted by two cranes at what we call Pad B. That is the launch table, and it will eventually be moved off to the left-hand side of your screen. The three SPMTs underneath it We expect them to move out of the way. Those are modular transporters. They transported it from the build site over to the launch site last week, and they will be moved out of the way. And then those cranes on the right-hand side will move forward or translate toward the flame trench. Yes, I said it. That is off to the left-hand side of your screen that we've been watching for the last several months being built. And they're rotating it back. Do you think that's wind, Adrian, or are they... How susceptible is this?
Look at that. Like, that has to be controlled. That is... I think that's controlled changes, because they don't happen and then they happen all of a sudden. I think they are really trying to like find a certain spot before they move ahead. And you can see the SPMT drivers just waiting there, getting ready to move these SPMTs.
Yeah, I feel like the mount is too dense for the wind to be able to have that much effect on it, for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, great point.
We would see the crane in the foreground, sort of the hooks there swinging around a bit if the wind were that powerful.
True.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah. Excellent point. All right. Adrian, we never actually answered the question. 20 outer engines and 20 hold down clamps, and right now it's connected to 4, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Those hold down clamps, we got some shots of those over at the build site, are massive in their own right. Now, all right, wow, look at that. What camera is this? Jay's going to tell me in the back channel. Is that River? No, River's off to the left. This is Outpost. South.
South.
What?
South,
I thought it would be more off to the right. Okay.
No, that's I think that's a common thing that many people at NSF have experienced here, because the angle of the second pad is quite different from, I think, what I at least would have expected. So that's why you always, when you see it, you're like, oh, that can't be from south, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's south.
Sideshow Bob says, at NASASpaceflight, as a crane operator, I would not be under that load. Yeah.
Jay is teasing us here with, if we want another cool wide angle.
Jay, I think Jay knows the answer from all of us on
Jay,
screen here.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So Jack is just off to the right of this shot. He is over to the right. Right?
Quite a bit to the right, I think.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, he's down Highway 4 a bit.
It's wild to see this with the Hoppy perspective here.
Oh.
True. And Hoppy is huge. Like, just to point this out, I think once these towers are there, like, sometimes you use perspective of how huge things are at Starbase, but Hoppy is tall.
Yes. If you ever get a chance to go to Starbase, I highly recommend it. Now that it's a city, they're going to potentially change some things going into the future. So if you ever have the opportunity to go to Starbase, for a launch or not, just to go and visit and see the things that you see on screen, I highly, highly recommend that you go and experience it. Walk up to Starhopper. Everybody else is Hoppy. I'm a Starhopper guy. Walk up to Starhopper. You'll see the scale. You lose the scale of how just incredibly huge these rockets are. Even the test articles. Hoppy is what, 4 stories, something like that? Jack's going to correct me. He knows exactly how tall it is, but it's massive. And
3 to 4 stories, yes.
3 to 4 stories.
Are you trying to troll me right now? Like, you're enunciating Hoppy. Like, you could not have pronounced that Y with more enunciate. Like, yes, Hopper is quite tall. I think it's like 60 feet tall.
60 feet. And you lose the scale, you lose the perspective on screen of how massive these undertakings are. So if you do get a chance to go, please go. It'll be life-changing. And if you get to go for a launch, even better.
I have news.
Okay.
You know who just boarded a crane operator. Another person boarded a crane on the right side, or at least there's another person now present on the yellow crane on the right that just climbed up the stairs there. So I wonder if that is a sign that they will start to roll soon, because that person is now entering a cabin.
The
So,
controls, yeah,
yeah.
of the
There.
over there on the right hand side.
Yeah, that person just climbed up there and is now doing something there.
Previously on the right hand side, we are still watching Ship 35 at Massey's. There is venting from both the liquid oxygen and the methane side. So we're keeping an eye on that. When we start to see things happening at Massey's, we'll switch back and forth. But right now, you're watching 1,100 tons of steel and the OLMB launch table hanging out with us here on NSF, just like all of you legends that are hanging out here. If you want to follow more information, if you're just joining us and you're like, who are these guys? Check us out on all the socials. Check us out on X, Facebook, obviously here on YouTube. What's the new one? Blue something or other, Blue Sky. We're everywhere. Instagram. It's NASASpaceflight.com. You can read all of the articles from our great writers and get up-to-date information on all launches that we're covering, launches that we have not covered or are going to cover. Just everything space flight from around the world is here at NSF. Also, if you want to support us, we love it when you do that. It helps us get these cameras out there. Jack and Gage and Caesar and everybody in the back channel, all the commentators, go and support what we do because it's a family. We're just a bunch of friends. So you can check out shop.nasaspaceflight.com and grab some of that merch. So thank you for all the support, guys, and all of the socials that you use. 1,100 tons of steel. We're still waiting on the SPMTs. You think they would have moved them by now? Or, Adrian, are they making final fit checks and making sure they can move everything around the way they want to before they move it? Or do you think it will come back down again just to be sure? They've already got it where they need it. They just got to move the SPMTs.
They probably want to move the SPMTs the latest as possible.
It looks like it's translating now, at least a little bit.
Ooh.
And I can hear squeaking, which might be the treads on the cranes. Maybe it's just swaying. I had very little sleep last night. I don't know. This is exciting.
Yeah, to me, it looks like it's sort of just swaying a tiny bit. It doesn't look like there was any movement of the treads or any real amount of movement of the OLM. And you know what? Maybe I was wrong earlier, and maybe it was some wind shifting the OLM.
If that's wind shifting the OLM, good luck setting it down.
Well, I mean, it's like everything else that flies. It's going to be affected by the wind. But Dee, you brought up a great point. I mean, it's so massive and so dense that effect is going to be very small. But again, we have a pendulum that is going to be affected some way, somehow. We don't know. You're right. It would take hurricane force winds to get the thing really rocking, which we don't want to. But it is affected. It's just affected a little bit. So yeah, we're expecting them to move the SPMTs. We're expecting this thing to translate forward. We have no idea of a timeline, by the way, guys. We have no idea. We were all just sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden, Adrian screams, "It lifted!" And here we are.
I have breaking update news.
All right, breaking news. From NSF Central. Go ahead, Adrian.
So some people wondering, when will the next flight be, right? There is an update from a Notmar that was just updated, which was previously, I think, May 20th. And it just has cleared May 20, which I know some person at NSF is right now very happy about because May 20 is also a very important football game. But besides that, it looks like Starship is now net May 21st, with a window right now on the Notmar from May 21st to May 30.
Oh, wow. They stretched that one out, didn't they?
Yeah, May 21st, now net date for Starship.
Yeah, there you go. Breaking news from NSF Central, a.k.a. Adrian and the back channel, which changes my plans a little bit. We'll see. If they can push it a little farther, I might be able to squeeze it in. But at this point, Adrian, we'll talk later. Bideford, a name everybody knows. Bideford, good morning. Thank you so much for gifting Ted Red Team memberships. You're a legend here at NSF, and you're here with us all the time. So thank you so much for that. By the way, if you do get gifted a Red Team membership, be sure to say thank you in the chat. It's very, very generous. I still count 3 SPMTs underneath the launch table. We want those to move, and this thing's going to be moving forward and carefully set down. Oh, by the way, we're still watching. We're still watching Massey's. And as soon as somebody sees frost, they're going to let us know. That's why we're watching the launch table, but there is activity over at Massey's. You can see it there on your screen. We're waiting. We're waiting for this potential static fire to happen today as well over there. All right, let's get to some more questions.
I can see a crane operator getting in the cab right now.
Okay.
So
riveting
might
stuff.
be action time.
I
mean, action time, I say, as the 1,100 tons OLM is dangling in the air. Yeah, now it's action time, Adrian.
So, John Ferris, Adrian, John Ferris agrees with you. At NASASpaceflight, they won't move the SPMTs until the last possible moment, because in case they have to put them back down, exactly, right? In case there's an issue. Yeah. Oh, so this is Jack's view. We're seeing Jack's camera. With this. Eventually they'll stack that sucker. We need those SPMTs to move, and they will. All right, question time. Let's see. You guys talk amongst yourselves. What did I do?
There was some.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know. I did.
Look at that stack me sign on there.
All right.
It's so cute.
Is it going? Okay, James wants to know at NASASpaceflight, is it going to be bolted or welded? I say both. Adrian?
It's mostly bolted, actually. That is the whole purpose. There's probably also some in welding, making sure the bolts are really tight, kind of thing. But there will be mostly bolts, but the answer probably is a mix of both. It will be, however, less permanent than the first pad, which is firmly welded, and this one will have the ability to be, in a multi-day operation, be removed.
Back zooming in there.
Yep, there you can see that is the place where basically it will be fixated. And there's the person getting into the crane.
Get in and move this thing. Let's go. Hurry up, do the thing, move the things. You get so, I get anxious. I really do. I don't, there's a big conversation about going on the back channel. Okay. So here's another one. I wanted to talk about this. It came up in chat earlier. By the way, the scrub shirts are only for a limited time in the store. So if you're watching Starlink and you wanted to get a scrub shirt, there's a 3 hours after the scrub, Adrian? 6 hours.
6 hours. And it's always 6 hours after the scrub, and that's the things that we then make available. That's basically the hey, by the way, you stick with us while this thing didn't launch thing. So I also want to point out that I feel like you said it in the context of the shirt, but you said the forbidden word.
I did. I know.
Good luck, Launch 35.
I'm being shamed. I'm being shamed publicly for saying the word.
Yep. It's a thing.
It's fine.
I will point out, I didn't call it out in the moment because it was in reference to the shirt. But well before any scrub was called yesterday,
we said the thing.
Adrian said, I should probably get the scrub merch ready.
I saw that in relation. First off, that was not on air. First thing, and second thing, it was in relation to the bad weather approaching. So I'm for being thrown under the SPMT here.
I'm absolutely gonna throw you into the SPMT for that.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I've now said it today.
Yeah, we've all said it. Jay has said it in the back channel. I'm just gonna let everybody know he really didn't, but he did. Let's see, MacGyver, $20 tip. Thank you so much for that. New cameras, more views, better stuff. Yes, that's your support goes directly to that. Thank you very much for supporting us, allowing Jack to get out there, and Gage, who's patiently watching Massey's, and as we get this launch table hopefully moved. They are having discussions in the cab of that crane. Did the guy just get out, Adrian, again?
I think so. I have a static fire to shoot. Come on.
They're like, here's your
by the way,
coffee.
this is an ongoing active transparency, because I like to call this out. This is an active discussion going on in the NSTF team right now. When is the moment where we deploy Jack to Massey's? Like,
yeah, I guess. Do we ask chat to help us with that? Like, chat, make the call when I have to bail on the OLM to go to Massey's for static fire.
yeah, Chris, if you're around, make a poll of like, which shots do you want Jack more of? Is it like Massey's at Ship 35 or lift of the OLM? Let's make sure that we get that, polled.
Well, I'm just looking at chat
I am
now,
nothing
and
if not.
there are a lot of
nothing if
people
not a
saying,
puppet dancing on your strings.
I see one person that says stay at the OLM and a whole bunch of people saying deploy now.
For I'm reading. I'm trying to stay. I can't read them fast enough. Both, Jack. They want you to do both.
Not possible.
All right, I'll clone myself real quick.
That's what one said. That's exactly what one of them said. They said clone yourself. The
problem is I'm pretty sure I would hate myself. So,
Hey, that's SPMTs. The SPMTs are rolling.
Oh, please.
Let's go. Yep.
Yes.
Goodbye, SPMTs.
The right side of the screen there.
Yeah, there you go.
You're clear.
Great catch, D. They're moving out of the way. Wow.
That's cool.
We've been waiting for
now
a while for this to move.
Now they have no way back now.
Well, they do. I mean, I thought, okay, and everybody's going to make fun of me now. I thought, and I should have known this, they were all connected together. But for some reason in my mind, I was expecting to see one go, then the other one go. But no, they're one solid SPMT all connected together. And they've been doing this for years. It's not a new thing. But in Gene's mind, I was expecting one to go, then the other one, then the final one. Yeah.
Gene, I was totally expecting the same thing, even though I knew. If I really had thought about it, I would have been like, no, of course they'll move together. But I was also just vaguely thinking like, yeah, I guess we'll see one then the other. They get a better turning radius that way, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Do we expect them, like, if they roll out a booster on 4, do you expect 4 SPMT operators just working as a legion in their minds?
Say that again. What?
Yeah, like basically just being one unit and just like 4 SPMT operators just steering them perfectly.
Yeah, I think when they connect together, isn't it just one operator, not 3?
Yeah, it's always it's one operator. Yeah. It's they basically connect, and then it's one operator.
And then we've got some guys in these man lifts that are moving. We don't know what they're going to do. We'll get them out of the way or something, but yeah, there go the SPMTs in one gigantic slab of SPMT off to the lower right-hand corner of the camera. Oh. And this is what we've really been waiting for. Not only the lift of the launch table, they moved it around a little bit. Jack is deployed over to Massey's, apparently. Is that what's happening? And the SPMTs are pulling away. So a lot of things are going to be happening here. And I don't envy the people that are taking over this stream here in a little bit, because you're going to be bouncing back and forth. If these cranes start rolling, Adrian, and Frost starts showing up on Ship 35, oh yeah, let's go.
Yep, it's quite an action day. We have many hours here to cover.
Ronnie Taylor, $5 super chat. Thank you for that support at NASASpaceflight. Here you go, Adrian. Will you be making a patch for Pad B's completion? Also, Adrian rules. I did not make that up.
First off, thank you. I don't think so. But secondly, while I don't think we will make a patch for the dedicated finishing of the pad, there's probably a good chance that our designer will in the future somehow include the first launch from that in the design. I think that's without having any design in mind right now, I think the first launch from this pad will probably be incorporating that new pad.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we have patches. In fact, I've got a whole bunch of sitting here on my desk that I need to affix to my jacket. But I can't sew. I need some help. I want to put them on Velcro and all that stuff. But you made them so big. I ordered like 4-inch Velcro from the internet, and it's too small. So Adrian, I need you to fit it within a specific footprint. So all the patches fit perfectly. B1062, thank you for that super chat. If Jack cloned himself, the NSF crew would find itself living in a Stargate SG-1 episode. Yes, we would. And I don't know if we can handle more than one Jack. Adrian, what do you think? Jack's back.
I mean, I think
we can't talk about it anymore.
That's why we can't. Yeah, he's back. We can't say anything. I don't know. I think the NSF family can handle a lot more of Jack's content. It's only we have an orange limit. We have a limit of orange clothing. So, all right, let's get to some questions here. As the SPMTs have moved away,
Nobody
go ahead,
told me
Jack.
that.
Nobody told you about the limit on orange clothing?
Yeah, that's not in my contract.
Chris B is he's rewriting the bylaws right now.
Would it be in the clone contract, though? Would that be...
I'm trying to find a good question here. At NASASpaceflight, will the high bay be collapsed like how they did the mid bay? I don't think so. They're taking it down in chunks, and they're doing it very methodically. We saw them obviously taking down the walls of the Starlink extension, and we're expecting to see when they get it down, they'll do the groundwork for the Gigabay and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe the last piece, Adrian. What do you think? You'll think they'll go ahead and just knock it over when they get it down to a certain height? I guess there's a safety issue there because it's still. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to methodically take it all the way to the ground.
I think there's a point where they might tip it over at the very later stage, like when it's down to like 3 or so floors, like a bit further down, because there's a certain area around it that appears to be a bit cleared, which makes me a bit suspicious. But that's probably like 3 floors.
I don't know. D, what do you think? Do you think they'll knock it over, or do you think they'll? Do you think they'll take it down on the ground piece by piece?
I'm really not sure. I am far from an expert on demolition. I'm sure they want to be careful with everything in the area. So I think they'll. I think they'll be careful. Whether being careful means they take it all down at once, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm more interested to see the footprint of the Gigabay and how they arrange it. Are they going to have doors facing the road? Are they going to bring stuff around? Like, I think there's some. We don't know what's going to happen. But it'll be. I'm waiting to see the footprint of that. Okay. Wow, people are loading up here. Let's see. Saad Usmani says OLM on pad B or static fire first at NASASpaceflight. What do you guys think? Adrian, what do you think? OLM on pad, OLM on the legs, or static fire first?
That's actually a good question. Like full set down, static fire first. That's my first initial impression. I think it will be quite tight on the timing because I could see this take
are we moving?
another.
Is the OLM moving to the right?
Yeah, the cranes are tracking forward. I can see the treads and I can hear it. The cranes are tracking forward very slowly.
Nice. That's good. It's moving. So now they will basically move to the area where where the SPMTs were before. Like the translating is done by the cranes actively moving. So and they will not move any faster, right, D?
No, I would not expect them to get too much faster than this right now. We can just barely see the treads moving their way when they have such a heavy piece of equipment they're lifting here. It's important to take it slow. They're working in unison, and so you want to take it slow with all these operations. Do it once right, not. You don't want to set it down in the wrong place, have anything shift. Like we saw sort of how much the OLM was rotating a little bit back and forth from what seemed like it could have been minor movements. And so you don't want to start any of those moving. You want to just keep it in place and get that slow translation forward.
I'm surprised that they're doing this so quickly. Now, we thought this was going to take a long time. But relatively speaking, this is fast.
Well, I think we could definitely see things slow down a lot as they get ready to set it down, secure it, anything like that. It's one thing to lift in the air, then they're not working on any real precision type alignment as soon as it's off the SPMTs. And even here, like they need to be precise, but once they are setting it down, they need to be really precise. And so I feel like that's when things are going to slow down for a while. And even once it's fully set down, it'll be a while until it's like fully installed, you know? And
I'm so not a crane expert. But my inkling is it's like an airliner where the dangerous parts are the beginning and the end of flight. Like cruise is kind of like a steady state. So when you're changing variables, that's when it's sketchy. And hopefully they don't have to take it too slow. But luckily I brought a lot of batteries today.
That is definitely a good thing. So yeah, I definitely think they'll slow down a lot there. And so on that static fire or OLM question, if I had to hazard a complete guess, I'd say static fire before it's fully set down. But that is a complete guess.
And there are things that very much give you I think would call you correct here, because we have frost on the LOX tank at Massey. So I think at this point, Jay, I'm not sure if we have done it yet, but you are fully clear to change the stream to the double stream because at this point, we are doing both.
Yeah. This is what we dream of, guys.
Hey, did we do a poll? Do I bail? What do I do? I don't know what to do.
Do what you feel is right. Which one would you do if you flipped a coin? Oh, that's a great shot of the ship right there.
Probably static fire.
Let's see what they say in chat. They're not talking about it. Go to Massey's Jack. There you go. Stay. They're not helping. You guys aren't helping. A lot of them are saying OLM. A lot of them are asking for a poll. Static fire. Stay. OLM. And of course it's going by at lightning speed, so we need a poll bad because I can't read that.
This is a race, honestly, at this point. This is an honest race.
Someone screamed EJ. That's fantastic.
This is a very interesting race at this point. Like,
yeah.
Are they teams are just like sitting next to each other and like staring at each other like evil and like make like look at the other team's console and like, no, we're first.
Yeah, we definitely have frost on the ship, and the OLM is translating forward. So that I don't know. I don't know. It is definitely a race, but it's going to be a very exciting double header stream going forward here throughout the day. And again, going back to what I said earlier, we were thinking that this lift was going to take all day. Right? You remember, Adrian, we were talking, I think Ryan, we were talking like, this is going to be a 12-hour thing. This is going to be a 10-hour thing. And it could be. But we've literally been here for 2 hours? And they're already trained. You can see the crane moving forward there on your screen. And this is not going to be an all-day thing. Now, as Dee rightfully said, and Jack pointed out, when they get hovering over the flame trench, they're going to take their time setting the thing down. But I'm kind of stunned at how fast. As soon as those SPMTs moved, Adrian, this thing started to roll forward.
Yep, they took no time. I mean, from this point, you don't want to take time anymore, right? Like at this point, let's get it done. Whew.
Oh my gosh, the poll is static fire or OLM on pad B. Yeah, everybody's thinking static fire. Yeah,
I think
that's
static
good.
fire.
Yeah,
I think static fire will be first. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, see ya. I sure hope it's static fire now. Vox, my name is Gene, not Mike. Thanks for that, though. I appreciate it. Mike's a good guy. Let's see. Let's thank some folks, Adrian. Merry Old Elf gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much. Very, very generous. You've heard me say it 100 times. If you are gifted one of those, please say thank you in chat. Dean, thank you for that super chat. Double Trouble Jack clone. I don't know. Personally, I love Jack to death. He knows that. I don't know that I can handle 2. I can handle 1. 1 Jack is enough. But yes, thank you for that support. Bruce, $10 super chat for the fun to clone Jack. Are we, Adrian, are we outnumbered here? Are we going to get Jack clones? I mean, we have Gage. We have Caesar.
We could use a Jack clone.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I would love to have Jack
True.
both on. I feel like there's a good use case for a Jack clone here.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a good use case. Okay, Chris
I think we can use a second Jack.
All right, at NSF. This is from Chris. This is a good question. At NASASpaceflight. Which OLM is better? The MMA Octagon or the Boxing Square? I think they're giving them nicknames. Adrian, I'll start with you. What do you think? The Octagon or the Square?
Boxing Square, no questions asked. It's so much cooler.
Yeah. I have to go with Square simply because of the flame trench. I really, really wanted the water-cooled steel plate deluge system to work because it was innovative, it was new, it was different. Obviously, the bare concrete was a silly idea, and the water-cooled steel plate was actually kind of cool, but this is the way to go. For future of rapid reusability, this is definitely the way to go, is the Boxing Square. Dee, do we have you back now?
You sure do. So I think the correct answer is, of course, the Boxing Square. It's for sure the better of the two, but in terms of sort of the innovative cool factor, as far as innovation, of course, the MMA Octagon style, that's a cool idea. I love trying something new, but I can't wait for the shots of Starship lifting off with 2 distinct sets of plume rising above the landscape. That is going to be an incredible, incredible view. So it has to be the Boxing Square.
I feel like also in this whole discussion of like I saw some people being like, oh, so the first design failed, right? Like that was a voicing that happened. I would say this is also part of like trying something new, right? Like I feel like there's always, if you try something very, very different, there's a chance that you find out that the very, very different thing actually has its limits. And we have SpaceX seen over and over again to trying something new, and it worked, and it got like even better than the old thing. I think in this case they just learned that their approach had a limit, and I think them now going to a very much more traditional design, which is this very much is like this is a like this pad could be in this shape or form very much like a 39A or something pad. I think that's also part of the process, like getting to the point where you notice you have reached your limit and then changing the approach.
And SpaceX's approach has always been fail early, learn, reiterate, and keep going. So we talked not only about the water-cooled steel plate and the changes to the OLM on Pad A, but then all of the upgrades. And we don't know if they were planned or if they were just like, hey, in a meeting with the engineers, like, hey, guys, we could do this. And now you have two things for two propellant load points, right? So they're going to decrease the time it takes. Those types of changes and advancements have to happen in the way we saw that. My point is this. If this works the way they want, the next one will be that much better, and so on and so on and so on. So as we see this whole program develop from Starhopper doing its initial hop and slowly eating itself on the way to the original landing pad, to the hop test, to the high altitude test, to the flip and the belly flop maneuvers, all of that is that iteration that we love to see as rocket nerds and science and technology nerds. But back to Dee's point, the next launch mount like this, and I guess back to the question about which one's better, the octagon or the square, the next one will be better. So when they do take out Pad A and build another flame trench, etc., it will be better than this one. And same with the one in Florida. They're going to constantly be updating based on the data that they get from this.
Absolutely. I have to point something out here, Gene.
Mm-hmm.
If we can go to that camera, yes, exactly. Thank you. Two things I want to point out. A, this is methane. This is the methane sub area active, and also on the tank, on the methane tank, you can start to see some slight discoloration, which means that we have, I think we have loading on both sides. On like, of course, you can see the logs here. Like the logs is quite significant already behind this cloud, and the logs is coming from this tank farm here. But the methane is also active. This is the methane tank farm is the one here at the right at the bottom of the ship, and that is also very much active. So I think we have both propellants now loading on ship 35. Which means we are looking at a T0 of roughly 920.
Perfect. And yes, you can just see some frost on the methane tank. Is that what you're talking about? Just on the left
like
there?
it's not really frost yet, because
Yeah.
it has to fill the whole transfer tube, and it has to fill the common dome. Basically, there is something in there, but it's not reaching yet the outer layers of that ship. So it's more cold air condensation yet. It's not the full-on frost ring.
Nice. And as we said, we're watching both. These are happening at the same time. And if you're not familiar with the layout of Massey's, what you're seeing on the left-hand side of your screen is that launch table being moved over at Pad B, and then on the right-hand side is the static fire test stand over at Massey's. And they are 5 miles away, 6 miles away from each other. You pass Massey's on your way out to, then you have the build site, and then you have the launch site. So if you're not familiar with that, they're all along Highway 4, but they are a good distance away from each other. These are not near each other at all. B1062, thank you for that super chat, says, stay at Pad B. We've seen thousands of static fires. We will only ever see a few launch complexes being built. It's a good point, but we love to have Jack over at Massey's for these static fires because of the cameras and the specific angles they can get. The Starbase live cameras we have for the Pad B, they're static. They're always going to be looking at that. But Jack and Caesar and Gage can kind of get in different positions to give us some different camera angles of the static fires. But yes, we've seen lots of them. Go ahead, Jack.
Do you want slow-mo of the static fire? Because the other cameras can't do slow-mo.
I mean, that's a great point. So the answer is yes. So we want Jack at static fire.
You know I want slow-mo.
Yeah. Bideford, $10 super chat. Thanks, Gene, Adrian, Dee, Jack, Jay, and everyone else I missed. Great way to start a Monday morning. Thank you, Bideford, for being here with us, and everybody else, almost 8,000 people. Thank you for being here this morning, watching them lift this 1,100 metric ton launch table, and hopefully, fingers crossed, have a 100% successful static fire for Ship 35, because we all want to see a full stack and a successful Flight 9 coming up very, very soon. Thank you for that support. Ninja Decimator gifting 5 Red Team memberships. We appreciate your support. Austin, pew pew pew. Ninja Decimator. Thank you for. Is that what you do? Who did that? Was that?
I'm sorry.
Was that you?
Yeah, I'm awake since Starlink.
Now that Starbase is its own city, do you think they will close off the road to the beach, or will we always be able to have access to space? Austin has that super chat and that question, and I think I want Jack to answer this one first. Jack, if you didn't hear the question, I can say it again, but since you're down there day in and day out, I want to get your take on the city of Starbase and how you think it's going to affect road closures and access.
I mean, it's largely a wait and see kind of thing. Fact of the matter is that we've known this whole entire time that Starbase is going to grow up from tents on a sandbar into a bona fide spaceport. And we'll just have to wait and see what that trajectory looks like. I got to set this camera up. I will be back shortly.
Thank you for answering that question. We appreciate it. Set the camera up. Get the slow-mo that D wants. Adrian, what do you think? That was a great answer from Jack, by the way, to Austin's question. But Adrian, what do you think about the city of Starbase?
Wait and see. There's, of course, two perspectives here. A, do I want to see the Starship program go as fast as, is reasonable with certain other interests? Yes. So that might be a thing where I win here. I also have a view as a journalist, so we will see if that is in any shape or form impactful for our access, which is also a thing we totally have to consider here. But, of course, that's just how the decision was here made, and so far, we will see what changes, right? So far, I don't see a big impact, which is, of course, normal, because it just happened. So we will judge as we see.
D, I'm going to ask you the same question, but I think I'm going to front load it with this. They shut down specific areas to allow journalists in to put their cameras, to allow photographers in to get certain shots. So I don't see them changing that in the future just because they've incorporated a city. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I disagree to some extent. So there are some specific laws in Texas as far as beach access goes. And so currently they're striking a pretty decent balance between what is being when the road's being closed off and making sure they can still do moves. And not everyone's happy. Not everyone's going to be happy with whatever outcome there is. I feel confident in saying that as time goes on, the road closures will become more frequent. The access will become more closed off. We see it with Starlink missions out here. SpaceX doesn't support remotes for Starlink. They don't support general media access for Starlink missions because they've become so common, which in some ways is a cool thing. It shows how regular spaceflight has become. But at the same time, we know that Starship is the vehicle that is looking for rapid reusability, true full reusability here. If they get anywhere near their goals, there's no way that they're going to be able to support bringing people out for every launch and having us set cameras on certain locations that they provide for us. And so I'm sure that it will change in due course, as unfortunate as it is to say. But I really hope that SpaceX continues to see the value of public access and providing opportunities for media, and also for the locals who've used that area to fish and the like. I hope that a good balance can be struck, that while it won't keep everyone happy, everyone gets something, you know?
That is a fantastic answer. That was the answer that I was hoping for, and the truth. That's a great wide shot, by the way, of them lifting this launch table. We want the access. We still want to be able to bring you these camera views. We want to go and experience these things as well. And having it's so much fun when you get down to Starbase and you meet people, especially when they're looking at a full stack from the dunes or something like that. I don't want that to end. That's something special that we've been able to do in our lifetimes that they didn't do that during the Apollo. They didn't do that during the space shuttle. You had to be 10 miles away or what have you. This is something special, and that's why I encourage everybody, if you get a chance to go to Starbase, you definitely need to do it. I hope they don't limit that. We're probably going to see some limitations, but as you pointed out, they have people down there that are directing traffic and allowing us to go to certain places and so on. I don't know how much longer that's going to continue, especially with the pace and cadence that's SpaceX is trying to reach with this rapidly reusable vehicle. So great point.
Yeah, to D's, just to follow on with that, like at Vandenberg, it's the same deal. There's really no remote support for SpaceX launches unless it's a customer mission and the customer requests it. So if it's a Starlink out of Vandenberg, no remotes. And you got to figure Starship will get there at some point. Thankfully, for the Dune thing you're talking about, Gene, like Dee said, there are really serious laws on the books in Texas. Like I think it's straight up in the Texas state constitution about public beach access. So, I think some things will always be a Starbase, trademark. But in terms of, if this thing gets to airliner-like operations, I mean, you don't see Delta herding media to every plane taking off at every airport. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to get, at some point, commonplace enough that that people will not even want to do this, in theory.
Yeah, it's just, another rocket launch. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I still watch planes take off. I don't know about you guys, but I still do. But you're right. They
same.
we don't set up remotes for every airline launch. You're exactly right. Tommy, thank you so much for that super chat. We did deploy Jack. We did break glass. He is deploying to Massey's. Jeff, $50 super chat. Thank you so much for that generosity, Jeff. Crazy support. Thank you very, very much. New graphics are fantastic. Is he talking about the Telestrator? I like the Telestrator. What a great Monday surprise to see all this action. The movement of the table side to side is a bit scary. Yes, we were commenting that, but we don't think... Oh, he's telestrating. We don't think that was the win. We think that they were positioning things and testing out rotations and so on, getting it perfectly level. Adrian, you want to talk about some frost?
Yeah, frost on the methane tank, which is happening. So that is a good news. You can barely see it over the cloud there that is just forming. Thank you for that. And now it's gone. But there is a frost ring on the methane tank as well. So we are well into methane loading. We are well into liquid oxygen loading. And there's also a bit of a progress bar here. And I wanna quickly show you that progress bar, because you can see the LOX limit is here. And the methane tank stops here. And they will load the LOX tank basically full if they go for the same test. So this is a bit of a progress bar. This is a bit of a, once this closes, we know the test is about to be imminent. So that is a bit of a, a situation here with the that we can observe. And once this gap has closed, we will pay really close attention to Massey's, because again, the stakes are high for this test.
Well, you have a progress bar on the left-hand side as well. It's the distance between the bottom of the launch table and the top of the legs. And it's still translating over. There you go. You can see it. It's moving over. They're going to get everything aligned as perfectly as they can. Then they slowly are going to place that down. Right now, my money's on static fire, and I will be watching, obviously, both of them. Let's see. Ninja Decimator Pew Pew, thank you so much for their $5 super chat. Slow-mo or no-go? D, they are in camps.
You can't just pew pew without emphasis.
Pew pew pew. What do you want me to do, Jack? You have to pew pew with emphasis.
That was the most passive aggressive pew 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 I have ever heard.
Yeah, you don't pew 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 in
That's
passing.
pew
You like
pew.
it's a focal point, okay?
It depends.
It's a deliberate decision to pew pew pew.
I messed up the pew pew pews yesterday, so I need to make up for the pew pew pews today.
I make it sound like a ray gun. But everybody has a different ray gun. My ray gun is the classic Star Trek. Right? That's mine. And now everybody says pew pew. No. I'm going to stick with the Star Trek phaser whistle. Can I get some love in chat for the Star Trek phaser, please? Not the pew pew. Good.
We have views from Caesar on the right here, who is also filming the static fire.
And where is Caesar?
Good question.
Is that boat cam? It's moving around. Are we boat cam?
It could also be wind cam, but I'm not
Wind
sure.
cam.
Hey, on the left side of the screen, there is a digger of some sort moving around. I'm not sure what sort of positioning they're doing, but the right side of the left side of the screen, there is still movement happening. People are getting set up for the OLM. They're up there as the mount gets brought over to them, which is wild perspective to have.
Yeah, you can see people just standing there on the rail.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
What a view.
Yep,
I just
a bit longer.
they need cameras. Like, they need body cams. Just come on, guys. Aaron, thank you much. $5 super chat. I'm gonna clear these out. Mount my heart. Yes, we're about to see that, Aaron. There you go. There's the stack me heart on the launch table, and it is moving its way over as the progress bar in the LOX tank is past halfway. Adrian, right?
Way past halfway. I would. This static fire is about 25 minutes away.
25 minutes.
Yes.
Let's see. Austin, thank you for that super chat. Getting within 100 yards of the launch mount is unheard of in spaceflight. When Starship gets to 25 launches a year, it seems crazy we can still access that road, but it's probably SpaceX, but SpaceX doesn't ever mention it. You know, I agree. And again, we had that conversation, and Dee and Jack have been to many, many more launches. They know the places to go to set remotes and get the cameras. I pray we still get that kind of access. But as Jack pointed out, do we stand there and watch every plane launch from Atlanta, take off from Atlanta? No, we want to see one or two cool landing. That's it. When this becomes commonplace, it's commonplace. My great grandkids will be like, "Oh, another rocket launch. Yeah, whatever." To us, it's like we were there. We were there when Starhopper made its historic flight.
It's kind of crazy. Like, this is probably, once it has, like, in 25, 30, 40, whatever years, Starship has, like, passed to the next vehicle. This will probably be the most documented rocket program in history. Like, I mean, NSF is part of that, right? Like, there will be YouTube channels like ours and, like, many others that publish videos of this on a almost daily basis. And there will be so many parts documented to the detail. That's a really cool thing for future generations to see.
You have to wonder if whatever comes after Starship in however many decades, if we'll even have as good visibility. Like, this may never happen again.
Yeah. Like, because
Excellent.
there might be clean rooms in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And being able to see it with the cameras that we have out there all comes from you guys. All of your support, you showing up, hitting the like button, going out to our socials, shopping at the store, all of it. Everything you see is because of you and because we just love to cover. We're space nerds. So thank you very much for your support. I'm going to hand over the reins of this. This has been fun. I'm going to continue to watch this stream all day, but I'm going to hand it over to Dee, who's going to take over hosting. So let's see a static fire, Dee. Thank you guys this morning. It was a lot of fun. I'll be back in a little bit, but I'm going to be watching all day for the static fire and the launch table to be set down. Dee, over to you.
All right. Yeah, so as you've been saying, we're getting closer and closer to this static fire. So it's important to note that unlike with launches, we don't have like an exact T0 that we know that they're going for. So we gave that estimate. earlier. Based on these levels, it might be earlier. So, I mean, we could be 15 minutes away. We could be 20 minutes away. So it's important to keep in mind as we get closer to that point that we don't have an exact time that they're going to go for, but we're going to keep an eye, of course, on the activity at the tank farm as we get closer, as well as the level of frost on the ship. So, Adrian, what are the sort of main things that you are going to be looking for as we get closer to really narrow down the T0?
I mean, honestly, from here on out, it's more a matter of seeing that tank farm die down. If we can go to the wide outpost shot, I can quickly illustrate a few things here. Will do my best to be quick here, but basically, you can see the most of the activity right now here is at the methane farm and a bit here on the LOX and nitrogen farm. Methane being on the right, LOX in the middle, and nitrogen on the left. The very last thing we will see before the static is more in this area, because this is the area where we will see the deluge system splooge up, and that's what we saw the last time as well, right? We saw some water coming from there, and that is just seconds before the raptors will spin up, and then we will hopefully see the static fire. So basically, at this point, I want to see this tank farm die down, because that means propellant loading has concluded, and once that has happened, it is time for the fire.
All right, and it is not just us for this static fire and the rest of the OLM stream. Joining us for this is Ryan Weber. Ryan, how are you?
I'm fantastic, D. How are you? How are you, Adrian? How's it going this morning? I see not much is going on, right? Not much? Right?
I mean, no, it's honestly, so to bring you quickly up to speed, there's just this small little part of the next pad that they're lifting on the left. We thought we'd track it while we're here, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And on the right, there's like this test prototype, I guess. They're just going for, I think they call it a static fire, so.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, but nothing big.
How's it going, chat? How's everyone doing?
I think chat is happy.
I think chat is pretty happy at the moment. The OLM is getting so much closer. I saw someone asking for a poll if the OLM will touch down at the same point as the static fire, which I think the static fire is still going to win this. But I mean, Ryan, what things are you noticing here as we're looking at the static fire? What's important for everyone to take note of?
Well, as Adrian was just talking about, we want to watch for it to start dying down. That'll be a good indication that they're done with prop load and they're going to tank press, and we should close to see a static fire soon after that. I mean, it could be like 9:10, 9:15 for that. I mean, I think they just tested the flaps too. And then in terms of winning the race, Ship 35 is going to win that race. The quote-unquote easy part is getting the OLM over the area. The hard part is lining the thing up and getting it down. That will take a bit. So 35 is going to win this one pretty handily. Because there's a lot of interesting maneuvers that those cranes have to do.
They started to move the flaps around there. We just saw, I think, the flaps wiggling a bit.
We sure did. But this is something we also saw yesterday morning as they got closer to what ended up just being a little bit of the deluge. And so it seems like that's the flap test is a pretty common part of the countdown for a static fire here.
Yes, very much. They probably have some sort of order sequence they go through. I don't expect this to be like a fully manual process at this point. It's probably more like a testing sequence that went through, and there's probably some control surfaces checkout point that they are undergoing. There will be other things. The one thing we cannot see that for sure is performed is a Raptor thrust vector control checkout. Like these Raptor engines will wiggle a bit shortly before ignition. Sadly, we cannot see that because there's a bit of things in the way.
That the countdown they do for static fire is basically the same thing they do for launch for Block 2, which is they run through, load it up, they do that little flap test before launch. I think it's a solid 7 to 10 minutes before or something like that. It's just right near the end of prop load. Of course, they're not fully filling the vehicle right now. They're only using a little bit of methane, but it's kind of that same basically auto sequence that they run through. They just don't fill it as much as they do, which I kind of expect to change in the new ship block because they're going to load it a lot faster on Pad B. So.
Yep. Unless they upgrade Masseys.
Well, that's not that difficult to do, but
yeah, that's true.
Now, before we get too close to the static fire, we have some more support, and I want to thank everyone here. We have G-Man becoming a PadRat member. Thank you for joining the membership program. We have Dino CR with a $5 super chat saying, "Can't imagine SpaceX not eventually creating a dedicated elevated SPMT bridge between production and launch site. Seems like a win-win for everyone." Thoughts?
That's
elevated SPMT bridge?
Oh, basically like a SPMT road, but
yeah,
honestly not that easy, right? There's like the salt flats there. Right? Go ahead, Jack. I think you have more.
I was just going to make a stupid comment that in Los Angeles, there's so many highways, they're building an overpass for animals to use. Like, are we approaching that point in Starbase where we need an overpass just for SPMTs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's far more likely we'll see just a secondary road before anything elevated, and then, you know what, if it has to cross the road at one point or another, holding up traffic for 5 minutes is a whole lot better than blocking it for 40 minutes. So that is an interesting idea. Sean Plays says, "Morning, y'all. Is there anything exciting happening today?" Oh, there sure is. We are getting quite close to a static fire and the OLM here.
I feel like Ship 35 has the first match ball to win the match here, of which is completed first, the static fire or the OLM lift, because the static fire is like maximum 10-15 minutes away, probably a bit less. And the OLM lift definitely takes a bit more because the final few meters will take some time. So I think the first match ball here of winning the match here is definitely in Ship 35's corner.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It may look like that mount is close. Basically, those cranes had to roll it somewhat over the flame trench, and then they both have to rotate slightly because where the staging area where the mount was is not exactly where the mount was going to go. So it wasn't just to pick it up or roll the cranes forward and then set it down. They have to rotate or translate the cranes over a little bit to then line it up, and they have to be very careful about how much boom extension they use over, because there's only so much they can really do with the amount of weight they're using. So it's a very delicate operation. So yeah, it'll take a little bit.
Yep.
And it almost looks like someone is right up against the OLM right now. That might slightly be the perspective here.
It's
I don't think that's perspective. I think they're literally touching it.
They're gonna try to pull it into position. Yeah. No, I mean.
Good luck. That's all I say. Good luck. But meanwhile, Ship 35 definitely closing in here on full propellant load.
Looks like the methane subcoolers are off, the LOX vents running, and the pad chill down / I think engine chill's been still going, so we should be close here.
I think 9:10-ish is the expectation.
Yeah. 9:10, 9:15, I think it is somewhere around that, I would say.
Yeah, so we're going to keep a close eye. Samuel Miller here has a question of likelihood we still see a roll over to the pad today, because the plan had been a roll directly from Massey's to the pad, to the best of our knowledge, right?
That was the closure.
Yep. the question is, of course, if they still up to that. That will not probably happen today because the closure, I think, was scheduled today, Ryan.
Yeah, it was. The closure's supposed to start in 55 minutes. I think it is. It's supposed to go from, I think, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I got to double check that. I don't think that's happening. I wouldn't. The other part of that is the SPMTs required to move a booster are currently unavailable. Unless they snuck the SPMTs that are used for 35 back to production site, there are 0 SPMTs available to move a booster. All those SPMTs were being used for the launch mount, so. It's... Oh, wait, was it? Yeah, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. today. So, I doubt we see anything roll.
So, yeah, it's 5 minutes or so away from... And it's gonna be hard to spot, right? Like, there's no real good indicator at Massey's for it about to fire.
Yeah, because the engine startup and the deluge startup are like right next to each other, like instantaneous almost. So
yeah,
it's a little bit difficult to.
It was like a second or two away from firing yesterday, right? Like that was maximum 1-2 seconds.
Yeah, so once it's super close, we're gonna have to keep a very close eye on both under the ship and the sort of deluge itself.
I feel like at this point we should at some point start to make sure that we show Massey's a lot here. So if we show you a bit less of the OLM for a few minutes, that might be because the Massey's just like is a very important point here because I mean the flight relevance here is quite significant.
Absolutely. We talked a bit about the importance of this launch in the grand scheme of things. They've been trying to get these milestones met and have a proper re-entry with version 2 of ship, and they haven't gotten there on the past flights. So even though the goals haven't changed much, the stakes are certainly feeling raised this time around, and we could potentially be like 2 minutes away. So we have to keep a really close eye on Massey's as we listen in also for the start of the static fire.
And you will of course see it before you hear it because these cameras are quite a tad away, and sound takes a bit to travel. So there you will see the static fire happening before you hear it, and then of course we will listen in and also try to see how long that goes. We can see the LOX tank venting there a bit as it vents off to close the final few spaces before the LOX tank is fully full. Quite intense now.
Yes, the tension is certainly building after this will actually be the 4th static fire attempt with this ship, right?
Well, more because they also had static fire attempts before the 600 static fire the first time, I think. At least they loaded it. I think we are even higher than that at this point because
this would be 5.
Yeah. They tried 5 and they so far got 2. But the ship went, that's very close to the static.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
We are in short sentence mode, as we call it. Let's see here. I think that's wrap up of LOX loading.
Could just be the pad vent right there. It's going.
Yep. It could be any second. Staring at the potential deluge. Can we expect a long duration static fire here?
Woo. Well, how about that? That looked like a full minute of static fire there.
Yeah, that was just 60 seconds. Yeah, I counted that.
Exactly 60 on the dot. Like, I literally looked at the clock at 35 because it started at 35. And you could see it like at 30, 32, 33 it started the shutdown sequence. So, I kind of don't want to jinx it, but that looked clean.
Yeah, that definitely looked good. I know I'm sure Jay is already working on replays and the like, so we can take another close look at that static fire. But that looked, on first impressions, to go very well and full duration.
I will say this. It looks like the RVACs shut down a full 6 seconds before the sea levels, or at least one of them did.
Oh, you're right.
You can clearly see it. Either all three RVACs shut down, or at least one of them, but like a full 6 seconds before the sea level shut down.
Which could be a staggered shut-off sequence that could be very much normal.
It could be.
Yeah, you can see them shutting down at like 28, and then it's just the sea levels burning for another 6 seconds, I think. And then it's a full shutdown. So, I mean, let's list some positives first. Like, for sure, positives. No residue fire. That's good.
No, it was pretty cleared out relatively quickly, which is a little bit more normal, seemed like, than last time, where it seemed to kind of linger a little bit too long. Yeah.
I like the fact that it was exactly 60 seconds.
Yes, that's definitely a good sign. That's what we're looking for. The last 6-engine static fire was a very odd time, and that was one of the early signs that things did not go quite as desired here.
Although,
Jack, do we have you here? How was that static fire?
See if we have them.
If we have Jack.
I don't think we have him yet.
I will say though, the fire thing, this was a daytime static fire, not a nighttime, so the lighting would probably make it look a little different. So that's kind of one of those things to note. But of course.
So taking another look at. Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
It's still, of course, detanking. I just want to point it out. Like, there's still operations ongoing with Ship 35, which is why we should always also keep cameras on it. Because, well, there's always things that could happen, and also SpaceX could just do for some more testing. But now that the detanking is happening with Ship 35.
Oh.
Taking a look at the OLM, it seems to be even more lined up at this point, with those people working on seemingly that final alignment before they start to lower it.
Yeah, literally standing below it.
Don't mind me. Just standing below a 1,160 ton box of steel. Yeah.
It's easy, you know. I do that in my free time.
Yep.
It's crazy to me that they use the launch clamps to lift this.
Well, when you think about it, there's 20 of them, and eventually those are going to need to hold probably like a 7,000 ton stack fully loaded. Granted, it's in the opposite direction, but you also have to realize that when they go to static fire that thing, even at half power, that's because it's going to be 33 Raptor 3s. So say it's 300 tons, so 33 Raptor 3s. So you're basically you're gonna be around 10,000 tons of thrust. So you do, you do make that math. So they're each clamp is gonna have to hold down 500 tons if they actually hold it down at full throttle. Which, based off the clamp design and some of the other things, they might actually be able to full throttle static fire this on this stand. So those might actually be rated for that. So those 4 clamps can hold 2,000 tons, which is more than that OLM weighs. So yeah.
Kind of crazy though. Is it starting to? I think it's not going down yet, right? It's like they're still aligning.
I'm trying to see. You need like a straight-on shot on the gantry itself, which is kind of hard to get. They do seem pretty lined up though. Yeah, if you, I think our south cameras, you can really see if it's really lined up or not, because where the gantry starts to angle down is where the edge of the OLM will be. So looking at that, I think it's pretty close to lined up here. So they're gonna, of course they're gonna do tweaks here and there, and then they're gonna have to lower the thing down and line it up. But yeah.
Yeah, it looked almost like the guy on the far side of the OLM was sort of putting his body weight onto it, like pulling it in one direction to get that final alignment. I'm sure that this portion, as they will begin to lower it, will be the longest section of the whole lift, because this is where they have to be incredibly precise. Now, as the replays get put together and as we keep a close eye on the OLM, we have some support here that we need to thank. Wish you were here, saying, what a great Monday, keep up the great work, let's get this girl to engine cutoff. And I think you got exactly what you wanted there. Thank you so much for the support. We have Axel becoming a Pad Rat member. ODST Moody with a $5 super chat saying, sir, we built a square peg for this round hole. Help. And Gray Stoke with the super chat saying, the vote should be what will drop first. I don't like that one. I don't know. I don't think we want to see them drop here.
Please no.
Yeah, that's definitely not the desired outcome. We have Cameron Wiltshire becoming a Capcom member. Remember, Capcom and above gets you access to the Discord where you can hang out with us. And we have channels for gaming, channels for tech chat, all the talk about Starship and space in general. Thank you so much for becoming a Capcom member.
Don't forget.
What was that, Jack?
Bagel.
Oh, okay. Jack doesn't seem to have the best connection, but I heard something about bagels, so I don't think we need to hear the rest of that. We have Simon Matthews with a super chat asking if there's a specific reason we switched the camera views mid-static fire. And we always try to pick the best shots, but if you want the stationary cameras without cutting throughout launches and events, go ahead, check out SBL. You can listen in with us on the stream, and SBL, you'll have the view of multiple cameras as we're going through. And we also are going to have those replays here shortly, and we will take a look at all of those close-up cameras individually here. It's hard to tell. Have they lowered the OLM at all? It doesn't look like they.
They have at least moved the cranes itself. So what they did is it's not only the crane, like the cranes moved on their chains. It's also the cranes itself that also moved as well, as they rotated the OLM. So it rotated a bit, as they are now preparing probably to go down. I don't think they are going like completely down the axis yet. They are still on the on the rotational alignment. That's how I call it. And probably once that is finished, the next thing will be the pad going down.
All right, this is an exciting and busy day. It feels like it's been a while since we've had a day quite this busy at Starbase, you know?
I would say I agree, yes.
So we've had a few questions on exactly when the OLM will be set down, and we aren't sure. We're keeping a close eye on it. This is our first time seeing this OLM be stacked, so we don't know how long the different processes take, but we're going to keep a close eye as they get ready and build this new launch site.
So, with the RVAC shutting down 10 seconds before the sea levels, Ship 34 did the same thing on its 60-second static fire, so it's nothing to be worried about. There's no issue. They did the same thing on the last one they did. So,
I think that's also how it stages, right? Like, if I remember the early, like the flights where they actually got to that in V1, I think it shuts down the RVAC early, right?
Ship 31 shut its RVACs down like 32 seconds before its sea levels at SECO. I literally just went and looked. That's why I feel a little quiet.
So an RVAC shutdown, like demonstrating that, because every time you shut down an engine, there's a certain like pressure shock going through the thrust puck, right? So demonstrating the capability to shut down your RVAC separately from your Raptor sea levels is probably something they want to test.
In fact, the fact that they had the staggered shutdown with the RVACs and then the sea levels is an indicator that it was nominal, because that's where it was with 34, meaning there wasn't an abort shutdown because it happened the same time before. So I would count that as good news.
The pad is going down. Just replay it, but you can see it there as well. The pad is definitely going down.
Oh, it's definitely lowering, yeah.
I would call that the mount. The whole thing is the pad, but that's just me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The mount is going down. Very good point.
Thank you!
Jack apparently had strong opinions about this, but didn't voice them so far.
About mount versus pad and bagel specifically, he has very strong opinions on.
To me, the whole thing is pad B. So you include the pumps, the pumps, the tower, the tank, the water deluge, the trench, gantry, all that. That's pad B. Then you have tower 2, which is, the second tower, or the tower at pad B. You have the launch mount, which they're lowering right now. And then, there's separate entities, but it's all pad B. But, yeah, yeah.
You know what, perhaps they were closer to pad B, the mount being set down and the static fire than we thought. I honestly thought for sure it would have taken them longer to get to this point. We'll see how much they slow it down once it gets really close. Now, speaking of the static fire and those vacuum engines, Scott Dunn was wondering how they're able to static fire vacuum Raptors without damaging them, because some engines can't test the vacuum variant at sea level, right?
Yeah, so like when they want to test an MVAC engine, they don't stick the niobium extension on it. Niobium nozzle extension on it. They just fire it without it. That's how they test the stage 2s at McGregor, which you can watch those tests live on McGregor Live. For RVACs, which they actually do test with the nozzle extension at McGregor and as well on the ship. They have a nozzle brace. So basically, it's a brace that goes on the end of the regenerative cooled nozzle extension that just kind of braces it and prevents the flow separation which occurs because it's a vacuum optimized engine at sea level. It prevents it from ripping the nozzle to pieces and destroying the engine. So they basically, on the ship, it's a brace that then connects into the ship's skirt. It partially connects into the ship's skirt, but also connects into the pad itself. So it basically secures the thing together. So yeah.
So it's not only these small little pins that will be all right.
No, those are alignment pins.
Yeah.
So this will get lowered down. There's a bunch of bolts that'll go in, and then comes the biggest question of them all. And I don't know if Zach is watching this or not, whether or not they weld the launch mount to the legs. We'll see. We'll see if they do that.
It's lowering down so slowly right now. They are watching this very closely.
You have to imagine, even with these very slow movements, that's a lot of momentum from just the slightest movement, and so they really need to take every step with as much care as possible. You can see one of the workers there with a headset on. I'm sure they're all communicating very, very closely.
Yeah, you don't want to put like 1,100 tons on these alignment pins.
Definitely not.
Slowly but surely there. You can see the gap on the left, like slowly but surely decreasing.
I'm actually kind of surprised at how quickly they got this thing done. I thought might take a little bit longer to do, but they really planned, Buckner and SpaceX together really planned this lift out. And they started to lift this thing 2 hours ago. So
yeah,
it's a little bit quicker than I thought they would do. I thought it was going to take most of the day. I mean, it'll take most of the day to fully align it and get the bolts in. I bet there's going to be a lot of adjusting here and there, but actually getting it over the mount didn't take an incredibly long amount of time.
Oh, you can see these swings there.
Yeah.
And for those of you wondering, yes, we do have replays. They are ready, but we want to keep a close eye on the OLM as it gets lowered. We don't want to miss things as they're happening. So we will get to those replays of the Ship 35 static fire once things die down just a bit more at the OLM.
Yeah, they for sure won't lower it down while it swings like that. You can see them there, like fully harnessed up as they stand on these legs.
Well, so what they're standing on is pieces of the flame trench wall that are next to the legs. So there's 4 legs on each, because there's 4 legs, 2 on each side, and then there are walls that extend out. The wall we're looking at right now is not finished. There will be some more sections that'll be added that angle it back down. And the angle will match the exact angle of the gantry we see off to the side a little bit there. So it's not 100% finished yet. There's still a lot more pieces to go, but they're not actually under the mount. They're off to the side of it, for those wondering.
You can also see how beefy these flame trench walls are there. Like, very well.
And filled with concrete, though, too.
Yep. I think you can see a splooge of concrete there that ran down there probably when they removed the connection when they filled it up with concrete.
Those walls, those steel walls are at least the wall itself is an inch thick of steel, with an opening in the center for the concrete, and then of course it's an inch thick on the other side. So, yeah, it's a lot of steel.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they have slowed down a lot to perfect the alignment here.
Okay, seems like they stopped there a bit. Really making sure to be perfectly aligned. You can see there's probably like more workers on the other side of, right?
Mm-hmm. Could be.
They're just looking.
I mean, you get it aligned to one side, the other side should be aligned as well. You get 2 out of the 4, it should be good, one way or the other. So as long as you get 2 out of the 4 legs aligned, as long as all 4 legs are aligned the way they're supposed to be, then it should be aligned. You know.
So we've talked about this a bit, but we have more people wondering about how it's going to be fully secured. It's going to be bolted in place, and some are asking if it's going to be welded, Ryan. Do we have a good idea?
We don't know. That is the big question mark. Will they weld this to the legs? There are a lot of people who think they won't, and there's a lot of people who think that it will be. I am of the mind of I will say it is until I don't know until they do it or not do it. We'll put it that way. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I don't know. Unless you work for SpaceX, you don't really know if they actually are going to weld that to the legs.
And remember, everyone, you can.
It's going down again.
It sure is.
Going down again.
And to be fair, they are a bit more away than it looks like. Again, like what we said like earlier, it's it looks it's a bit of a camera trick. It looks like they're way closer to it than they are. They're not below the OLM. You can see it now a bit better.
All I'm going to say is the time lapse of this is going to look so cool. Watching the cranes pick it up and then roll forward with it, do a little turn, and then lower it down. The little time lapse will look so cool. Elisar, where are you?
Yep. And to be fair, we should also point out, like, even if like they don't weld it, it's not like a quick replacement orbital launch mount like some people have like said. Like, this is, even if they want to replace this, it would be a multi-day operation, as we can see here. And it seems like they commit now.
Yeah, they are very close now.
I hope we get some hand signs once it's down. Like some cheering.
A big woo! Once it's down.
Yeah, quick firework.
And then there's access hatches or access holes into the legs where workers will go in and be able to help bolt those things. So you see the access hole right there. You can basically they'll be able to go into the mount itself and be able to either they'll lower the bolts in that way or they'll push the bolts in up the other way. But basically there's access hatches in both areas so they can put a bolt and a nut in and basically, secure it. So
this is certainly an object where you don't want to have your fingers stuck once they stack it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. That's awful.
We can really see how close they are because the that steel beam there, the what was the like the temporary alignment beam, you can see like there's not much room left. They're going pretty quick with this thing.
And you want to touch this down very, very softly, right? Because the momentum, even on like such like low levels, would be quite insane.
Oh, as soon as they touch this down and the cranes release all the weight, the entire flame trench structure and the flame trench as a whole will flex and settle. Because you just added almost 1,200 tons to it in not really an instant, but pretty close to an instant. That looks so cool. The dude shot, like, I've been waiting for this day for months. Been waiting for this day for so long.
It's amazing how much the skyline at Starbase has continued to change, and now it just got another huge change to it with the OLM setting down here. It's hard to tell if
Can
they
you
are
hear me?
quite down.
Yes.
Yes.
Just driving up to the launch site right now to set my camera up, the skyline already looks appreciably different just from the mount being moved. Like it, even as far back as the production site or the river lot, like the skyline is now different.
You look at the beam. There's basically no space anymore. It's like centimeters to millimeters at this point.
I'm just gonna say this: during a static fire or a launch, in the moments before that plume really gets up and out of the trench, there's going to be like a few milliseconds where you're going to be able to capture all the mock diamonds from the Raptors coming out from under that mount. Like, I cannot wait till they even just static fire from this pad. It looks so cool.
I cannot wait to see how the exhaust forms. It's going to feel almost retro to have dual exhaust plumes like that.
I cannot wait for one of your slow-mo shots, D, from this pad. Or Max or Jack or anyone, any photographer, period. It's going to look so amazing to see launches out of this. And they're going to build this same thing at 39A.
And we've got views here from Jack, who has, of course, relocated from the static fire back to the OLM. And Caesar's out there, and Gage is out there. We've got a whole team working to get the best coverage we possibly can of these events. It's hard to tell if they're
I think there's people inside. I think I just saw something moving inside. I think somebody already entered it from the other side.
Possible.
You see, like, I think there's something moving in there. I think somebody's in there. I think it's
hard to tell.
I think it's... If it's not down, it's like very, very close to down. Look at that. Oh,
is she actually pulling on the mount itself for that final alignment? Or just standing there?
Because my guess is they'll go inside the mount and they'll put bolts into all four corners. Or at least one or a few bolts. Yeah, in all four corners. Because once that's done, that means it's aligned once you get some of the bolts in, and then the cranes can release it. Basically. Once it's aligned, the cranes can release the weight, and then it'll settle on the flame trench and the walls itself.
Look at that. That's a shot from Jack with the showing it's not quite down yet.
It's close. Oh, it's
very close.
It is almost there. Super quick, before we see any more movement, I want to thank Chuck Rogers for a $10 super chat. watching while flying at 35,000 feet. That's so cool, watching from the air. We also have Ron Smith with a $5 super chat. In the words of Futurama, the clamps. I have to admit, I'm not.
Clamps. The clamps.
I'm not familiar with Futurama.
Well, you think I should use these clamps that I use every day at every opportunity?
I'm glad we have Jack around for these references, because I also don't watch Futurama.
Yeah.
I need to do a rewatch.
Camera stuff, live feeds, commentary. Nah, Futurama references. That's what I'm competent at.
I see Chet judging me for not watching Futurama. We have Jason W. becoming a Red Team member. Thank you for joining the membership. And Gagem with a €10 super chat. No message, but thank you so much for the support. And Bideford, of course, who is a regular in here with a $10 super chat. If I was the mother or wife of one of the people under the OLM, I'd be having a complete meltdown, as I'm having one and I don't even know him. Be safe. Yes, the safety of the workers and people is of the utmost importance.
So close to down. It's funny, they're already climbing in there, but I think it's like they're not down yet.
I can't even tell if it's lowering more or what.
It could be that it's like down on one side or one corner. Sorry, I choked on a granola bar, and they're trying to level it out. Oh God, I need water.
Oh God.
Dang.
Well, Jack, as we were saying to the workers, be safe.
So, I will say this. I am now patiently waiting for SpaceX to post the video of the static fire and then post an update on their website that they're getting close to launch, and these are all the changes they're making to the stack and all this other stuff. Please and thank you. I would take... Can we have that today? Please? Anyone?
I think there's a good chance, by the way, that this is down-ish, but they are not releasing the tension yet, and there will be like a final bump once they release that tension. But this is like basically close to down.
I think that was way faster than a lot of us thought here.
Yeah. You thought it would, if you thought this would be this fast, I don't believe you.
I thought it was going to take a decent amount more time. I guess they really planned this out. I mean, they do. This is what they're best at. These kind of lift crews. There's a reason why Buckner has all the cranes that they do. They understand what they got to do and how they have to do this stuff. So, it's impressive that they were able to do this quickly, I think. And I'm glad too, and quickly and safe.
So we have some more support to get through here. Most recently, Russell Snodgrass with a $100 super chat. That is so generous. Thank you so much for the support. With the question, if the height of Pad B is comparable to Pad A, Pad B seems shorter, or will it accommodate a stretched Starship better?
It's about 4, if I remember correctly, I think it's about 4 meters shorter. Which, when you think about it, currently SpaceX has 4. They added 4 meters. I think it's like 4, well, maybe 6. I gotta remember off the top of my head, but they If you remember correctly, they basically added 4 meters to the extension of the ship QD on Pad A because between ship 20 and ship 24, they moved the QD up a ring, which moves it up about 1.82 meters. And then they added the hot stage ring, which moves it another 1.82 meters. So basically they moved it up 4 meters. Well, with the OLM being a little bit lower, it means that they won't need to have that extension, that height extension on the ship QD, which means the ship QD is going to look a lot better than it does currently on Pad A. The lovely, like, flimsy extension that they kind of have. It'll be more direct on like it was back on the Booster 4 Ship 20 days. So, it'll also be able to accommodate. The thing is stretch ships doesn't really need to be accommodated for, because they already moved the lift points lower, and if they utterly have to, they could, in theory, move them lower. Although that's kind of into the tank, so that might be a little bit iffy, but they should be fine on stretching ship a little bit. I don't think they're going to stretch ship to the Block 4 level we saw. I don't think it's ever going to get 70 meters. I think it'll go up to like 60, 65 at most. Maybe only like 55. I think like 55, 60 is what they'll stretch to at some point.
We also have Marcel becoming a Red Team member, and Mark with a $10 super asking, after the launch mount and ship QD, what are some other major components to be installed yet on Pad B?
Launch mount. I mean, I'm thinking around like launch mount, ship QD. I would say booster QD system. Like there's probably some sort of system on the gantry that will still be installed. That's another major part that will be installed to this. I think that's kind of it.
I think there's a blast wall they're making piles for, or maybe it's for something else. There's that to protect the water deluge system. They still have to finish the trench. It's not done yet. They still have to finish the pumps and subcoolers. All that routing's not 100% done yet on the methane side. They still have to hook up the pressurization system for the water deluge itself too. There's still a lot of little things to be done. But of course, a lot of the major stuff is completed.
All right. And Telstar86 with a super chat wondering, do you think they will use test tank 17/18 for a fit test on the new LLM once all the clamps are in place? Or will they just go straight to a V3 booster?
I never thought of that. That makes sense.
I like that idea. Like the moment that was like, Superjet was like, huh.
After testing it in the test cage, I could definitely see them using it to make sure all of the clamps are aligned and everything like that. Using it as a little bit of a test article. It's trying to think. 11 rings tall. Is it tall enough? Well, no, they don't have lifting points on it, so they'd have to crane it onto the pad, which they could do once
possible.
They'd have to crane it. Onto the pad as a whole. But anyways, yes, they would have to use the SpaceX 11K once they reconfigure it back to its old boom once that gets serviced and everything. Because right now what they have on it is a rented boom to do this lift. But I could see them doing that because who knows when the first Block 3 booster is going to be ready for any type of testing or integration onto this pad, so they can test all the pad systems. We don't really know when that's going to be. It might not be till the end of this year, but we'll see.
We also have Bideford once again with a $10 super chat. Okay, I'm impressed she is able to do this. I fainted just looking at the height of this. Husband and mother are freaking out in any case. Oy vey. Yeah, it is. I'm sure it would be terrifying to be up there, but that's why my feet are firmly on the ground right here. We have Troy Scott with a $10 super saying bolted or welded. If they bring King Kong in from the island to work the torque wrench, bolted. Scott Howard with a $10 super. They're likely putting in alignment pins in the bolt holes to make sure the last few inches line up properly. That makes sense. Anthony Losego with a $5 super chat. Notice on the right view, there's no butt joint prep. You can't weld that with no prep, so it looks like bolting only. Interesting. I'm not a welding expert, but thank you for letting us know that. That's a great piece of knowledge I did not have before. We have Hazardous Mike becoming a Padrat member, and we have Tom Ray with a super chat saying, Buckner set big equipment for me back in 1990. Nice. Now, we have a lot more still to see. We have those replays to get to. We're, of course, continuing to keep an eye as the work continues on the OLM.
I cannot believe you just said that.
At what point do we just all collectively agree to start calling it a launch mount and not an orbital launch mount? Like, it's been years at this point.
We could
The
pull that.
suborbital launches aren't even on the FONSI that just came out for the environmental assessment. Like, they've completely struck suborbital launches from the thing. Like, let's just call it a launch mount.
Saying OLM flows so much more smoothly than saying launch mount. Like, sure, it makes sense to say launch mount at times, but OLM, it sounds nice.
They didn't completely strike the suborbital flights from that. They can still do suborbital flights if they land in the Indian Ocean, Hawaii, or the South Pacific. It would just mean that they don't
I guess
do a full
technically
orbit.
the Turks and Caicos.
Or yeah, that's true.
we could call it LM instead of OLM. I feel like it's. I don't like OLM, but we can make this a.
No,
we can
I
make
hate
this
it. I hate it. No,
we
please
can make
stop.
this
I'm sorry.
Chat poll.
I'm team launch mount. I am at this point, but yeah. So wait. I think people have been walking. Yep, people are walking on top of the OLM, which means this thing is set down. By the way, this is down. They wouldn't be walking on top of the OLM if they were still doing any kind of adjustment or lift operations. So it is safe to say that this is touchdown. This is down, and it's time to put in the bolts and get it secured. So
yeah, I mean, it's honestly the last few days were so enjoyable. I feel like from my perspective and also from like a lot of people at NSF, because honestly the last, I don't know, like Sunday and now Monday felt very much like this classic Texas tank watching, like observing tanks venting and like getting understanding of certain things, and just very much doing, not fully understanding what we are watching at, but just trying to understand what SpaceX is doing. And oh boy, do I have a funny transition here for you, because there is Texas Tank Watchers merch now in orange as well, still in the NSF store. So if you're a classic Texas Tank Watchers and want to show others how much of a Texas Tank Watcher you are, go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com, where you can get that now in new available colors, by the way, including things like orange or green, which I enjoy a lot, honestly. So yeah, available in multiple colors. The orange had to be added once it was available, because otherwise I get complaints by Jack. So yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. You're the best. Thank you.
There you go. And again, it's a very, very cool way to support us. You get something in return. You get something to show your passion, but it also really helps us out to do these marathon coverages and to do like an OLM live stream while we also have people filming Ship 35, while there's also a Starlink that will go on tonight. Like, this is only possible because of all of your support. And that's really, like, I mean it when I say that. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and only possible because of all of you.
Absolutely. It seems like things have really slowed down here at the launch mount. There are people up on top of it now, I see. So it definitely is sort of in position, and I'm sure that they are in there starting to secure it and do their work.
Yeah, the question is when will, like, I'm looking for the lines to be a bit more slack. Like, basically, like, if the cranes do not longer carry the weight, that might be the big sign that they are really completed this. But so far, not sign of that. Talking or muted?
Yes.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue to keep a close eye on that. It's been a very busy day here. Earlier today, we had Dylan Bender wondering how long until we see a launch vehicle here on the pad.
Ooh, like here on pad B?
I believe pad. Yeah, on pad B.
Yeah, pad B. Good question. I kind of agree with what I think Ryan said earlier, and like end of year-ish.
It's because you have to realize that SpaceX they just rolled their first test article for Block 3 booster over to Massey's. Now, I will say this. In the past, SpaceX has built the vehicle that they were also testing at Massey's with a test tank, and they've stacked that vehicle. Although, I'm curious if what has happened to Block 2 of Ship has entirely changed their thought on that, and they're actually going to go ahead and test everything before they stack the vehicle. But, it's SpaceX, so probably not. But so far, we haven't seen them start stacking a Block 3 booster. So assume they start stacking it by June. That probably wouldn't... you can't use any timelines for Block 1 booster because it's or Block 1/Block 2 booster because it's a new design. It definitely looks like a clean sheet design based on what we were looking at that aft. It's wildly different. So there's a lot of changes to this vehicle. So it's going to require changes in its construction and its stacking. So question becomes, how quickly can they do stack 1? How quickly can they finish the construction on it? And also get it out to Massey's for testing? And then maybe get it to the launch site right away for fit checks? You're looking at this rate, you have 6.5 months left in the year? I think even by end of year is kind of pushing it for a vehicle with engines to be on that pad for anything. Because you're also looking at that probably is going to have Raptor 3 on it too. So there's a lot of elements that go into that. I would be surprised if they static fire on this pad this year. I'm hoping for at least fit checks. I think a launch is end of Q1 next year. Every week that goes by kind of pushes it ahead because they aren't stacking a new vehicle. Because we just don't really know how long it'll take them to do that. So.
I fully agree. Like, I feel like that's a very good, closing in on it. And I also want to point out that this question said launch vehicle. That's a very easy out for Ryan and me here, because launch vehicle means they actually put that booster from there into the intention to launch that booster. Like, could they put some sort of test article before that on the pad? Yes, but that was not the spirit of that question. Just to point that out here. Because I saw people are like, hey, they could totally put test tank 17 there. I'm like, test tank 17 is not exactly a launch vehicle.
That is not launching anywhere. It does have two tanks, though.
Other problems.
It does have 2 tanks. So in theory, they could, if it's got all the plumbing in it, they could stick engines on it. It has a small methane tank. It does have a common dome. It does.
That's true.
So they could, in theory, load both. And Anywho, yeah.
Well, now that work has slowed down at the OLM, let's take a look back over at Ship 35 and take a look at some of those replays of that static fire that looked really good from initial views, but
there you can see it. Like, it looks so beautiful. And again, you will see close to the end, you will see a change in that thrust, like in the exhaust, and also a change at the bottom. You can see it on the later view way more clear. That is the shutdown of the vacuums.
and you can see some deer in the foreground of that shot actually running by.
That's, I think, was the shutdown of the vacuums. I'm not totally. Maybe I'm mad. We'll see it later on a clear shot. But obviously not.
Don't be mad, Adrian. We have so much action today to be happy about.
So long. I have a bad feeling about 60 seconds apparently. Look at that plume.
Now imagine that going out in two directions and from 27 more engines.
Yep.
That is going to be a sight to behold when we get the first launch from Pad B.
It's... Oh, man. I can't wait. I can't wait.
That's another great shot. You can also see the staged ignition there.
And this shot is from Gauge.
You can see how it's just bright red at the bottom. It looks so great. So impressive that they can conduct these 60-second static fires. Because, again, that rocket is quite powerful. Like, that upper stage. And there's a wider view. Whoosh. There's the stage ignition.
Yep, there it is.
And this view is from our friends, a camera we have at the Rocket Ranch outpost. Our friends let us have a camera there, and you can check out the Rocket Ranch for launch viewing and the like, but it provides an excellent view for these static fires at Massey's and, of course, launch.
Dean, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that Rocket Ranch does have their pre-sale open for Flight 9 viewing tickets. I think the price goes up after the pre-sale ends, so if you want to watch from the outpost, now's a good time to get a ticket.
And if you look at the exhaust there, you can sort of see the shock waves working their way through it.
That was the Raptor shutdown. That was the vacuum shutdown, and now it's the sea level shutdown. Jack's shot actually, I think, had us the clearest. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out because we just passed it.
Oh, absolutely. That is very important to point out.
I think that's River Massey scan? Oh,
This is a
Caesar.
view from Caesar.
We have so many angles. Were you just like positioned in a grid around the rocket?
I saw
Roughly,
in the back
yes.
panel. Jay said, I have too many cameras today, which I don't know. That seems like
Michael read here.
That seems like a lie.
That's normally a statement that's reserved for around launch day, so that was a good thing to hear.
Yep. And again,
We're all doing our best trying to bring as many angles as possible.
I want to quickly point out from what we see, and of course that is pending SpaceX confirmation, this looked like a good static fire in contrast to the last one. Like this, everything looked, from what we can tell, what data we have, mostly visual one, this looked way more promising. This shot is from Jack, I think, right? Yeah, you can see the Mac diamonds.
This is the one.
Yeah, I was really happy with how that worked out.
And here you can see the shutdown sequence really pronounced. Remember, the vacuums are outside.
And the shockwave and the clouds, like, oh my god.
And wait for it. Gonna happen any second now. There's vacuum shutdown. And that's sea level shutdown.
That is such a great view.
On the right side, by the way, the booster transport stand is moving.
What?
Apparently.
Yep.
Wait, what? Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Booster transport stand. Yeah.
No.
Hey, Jack, do you like sleep?
No. I mean, yes. No.
To be fair, that
What-
booster rollout is
what
a
is-
few hours away.
This for people watching that don't. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, RoboJack.
Yes, RoboJack. Yes. I will say this. This will. Okay, so just to recap here, okay. Booster transport stand rolling. So let's go through the possibilities. Obviously, 17 is sitting right there, so that's not gonna. Obviously, that's on its own transport stand, so whatever. 15 is under refurbishment. 16 needs a static fire, but considering all the notices for flight and everything else, I would assume that that's not coming out to play until after the next flight. That leaves 14-2 to come out and play. So, which already has a touch stage ring. So, yeah, chat, we're rolling along here. Maybe that static fire is so good that they're immediately moving the booster transport stand right away.
I mean, this has to be I feel like this is a stage sequence. Like, this is okay, initial static fire data looks good, let's move out that booster. I have a hard time imagining it's not the case.
Yeah, so I know that we're going to be closely monitoring for any updates or video from SpaceX. I'd love to see if they have like slow-mo of the engines during that static fire. I hope we get to see that and get confirmation that the static fire was good and as expected. We do have some more support that we have to thank here. We have Horn with a $10 super chat saying, "Addicted to NSF, keep up the great work." Thank you so much. We have Jeff Frieshoff with a $30 super chat. Thank you so much, saying, "I'm with you, Jack." I think that's in reference to launch mount versus OLM. That's fine. We can agree to disagree on how we reference the OLM. We have Crafty Geek with a $5 super saying, "Woke up after static fire finished, rewound to watch it, now watching the alignment at double speed, excited for actual time-lapse photography." Absolutely, and the best way to see that time-lapse photography is by following the NSF socials on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Blue Sky. Be sure to check out the socials to stay up to date with all those extra time lapses the team puts together, whether it's sunrises, sunsets, or events like this. That's where you can see them. We have Shiloh McKinsey with a $5 super chat. Yak walks into a bagel shop, asks to purchase a bagel with cream cheese. Owner replies, "Sorry, we only accept cash." I think you get a...
That's quite droll. That's highly amusing.
Do you get a pun token for that, Shiloh? Thank you for the support. We have Bruce Cooper with a $5 super chat saying, "Click that like button, folks. Yes, thank you so much. The likes, the shares, all help us out so much. We have Anthony Lasego with a $5 super. They'll do suborbital military deliveries and orbital launches from the same mount. Adding orbital will be inaccurate. That's an interesting point. Once point-to-point is going, can we really refer to it as the orbital launch mount? We have Gabriel Reyes with I'm not familiar with the currency, a $50 US super chat. Thank you for all your hard work. Keep enjoying this adventure. Thank you so much. This support means a ton. We can't say thank you enough. We have Phil with a super chat saying May 20th for launch just to annoy Chris B. Lols. Well, based on what we're seeing, it seemed like it might be the 21st of May now. And then we have Wilbo Baggins with 5 Red Team memberships. We see you here all the time, Wilbo. Thank you so much for the support. We have Tom V with 5 Red Team memberships gifted. Thank you for the support. We have Bob Fillmore with 10 gifted Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. And now we have Mike Alpha Tango Sierra Mats gifting 50 Red Team memberships. That is absolutely wild. If you got any of those memberships, be sure to thank the person who gifted it to you. That is such an incredible amount of support that helps share the membership program with even more people. We cannot say thank you enough. Wow, that was some rapid fire. Now we can see, are they working on the actual attachment points there at the crane now?
They could be slacking it up and or whatnot. I'm trying to tell if they've slacked it or not. I'd have to do a full A/B test and everything. Over time.
I can tell you that a certain shop person right now is panicking to get a patch ready.
What?
I mean, the moment the booster transport stand started to roll, I was like, oh no!
Question is all right, when does 35 go back? So with this done, they can safe it. They might even be able to get it back to they should be able to safe it and roll it back tonight if they put out with the booster transport stand rolling in now. They could move it tonight, move the booster tonight, and also move the ship at the same time, or move it after or whatever, or before. It doesn't really matter which. But get the ship back into Mega Bay 2, get that on a transport stand. If they're still doing the dumb links, which I assume they are, get those loaded in. There's a few bits of the heat shield they got to finish off. I don't know if they're going to pull the tiles off in all those locations. They might still do that, in which case that's something they still have to do. If not, then they do the dumb links. They finish off what they need to finish off with 35 on the transport stand, and then they just roll it and stack it. And whether or not they do a prop load test, I don't know. And then launch. Because Pad A's been sitting ready for like the last couple of weeks. They haven't really done anything with it other than move the chopsticks around, but that was in coordination with Pad B's as they're trying to nail the software and whatnot for Pad B down. So I think they were kind of running them in correlation to kind of see all the values and everything like that. But basically, Pad A is just waiting for its stack. So this is getting close. Getting close.
Absolutely. Now, we got A really good question from Fen Dragon earlier, wondering how is the water removed or reclaimed from the flame trench? I'm not actually sure. Have we seen the plumbing there? Do they have plumbing specifically to drain it or pump it out if there is a buildup of water?
They do have sumps down there and pumps, so they can pump the water out. And they will be building a water collection pond to the south of the pad. Basically, it'd be just behind the gantry. There's a little wedge there, and that's on the environmental assessment where they're going to build that. So any excess water from the mount itself, from the water-cooled steel plate that rolls off the gantry, will then basically go into that, and any of the water left over that was not turned into steam and vaporized inside the trench itself will be pumped out and go into that collection pond, where then vacuum trucks can then go get it and take it off site to be treated and reused or whatever. So that's basically how it's set up.
And with this wide view here, I can really get a sense for what Jack was saying about the changing skyline. It sort of sits in the foreground of Pad A, and it really does change how the site looks. It's not quite as much so as the full second tower, of course, but that's a notable change to the skyline that is ever evolving. And one more question here. Wouldn't it make sense to build a rail system for Starbase similar to what's used with Soyuz? I mean, we see rail systems with some rockets, and then for others, it's not really needed. Here, since they're sort of going down a road and they have a lift involved, they'd have to build a pretty massive rail. I don't think it makes sense in this specific case, especially since they have the chopsticks that are able to do the lifting and get it in place, and they're already vertical, right?
The biggest issue with doing some kind of rail system to and from the production site to the pad is you have to build that beside the highway, because the highway still has to exist for access to the beach, because SpaceX can't close off that access. They can't do that. Not permanently anyways. So you would need to build that alongside the highway, which is a wildlife reserve and wetlands, which would require a ton of environmental approvals, and as well as, if you want to build on the wetlands, you also have to get approval from the Army Corps of Engineers, and there are a ton of steps to that, which it just kind of makes it unfeasible in the long run. It takes them only an hour with SPMTs to roll it to the pad. It's a system that works, and I think they'll just keep using that. There's no need to build it off the side or anything like that. So at least that's my thinking.
Now, as the action has really sort of died down here, I think we will start to wind this to a close, but we have some more support to thank here. Y'all have been incredibly generous here. Josh Zero with a $5 super chat saying, food for thought, Starship and Super Heavy powered by tomatoes. Isn't that food for fuel then? I don't do puns nearly as well as some other people here. I don't know. We have Robert with a $2 super chat. No message, just support. Thank you so much for the support. We have Norway Space Dude upgrading to a red team membership. Thank you. And we have Phil gifting 5 red team memberships. Thank you all so much for all of the support today. And now, also, Wilbo Baggins hopping in with 10 gifted red team memberships. Thank you so much, Wilbo. If you got one of those memberships, be sure to thank the person who gifted it to you. And I need to thank Adrian for being on this stream with all of us this whole time. It has been a fun one.
Absolutely. I'm already starting in the background to modify Starbase update because it's outdated now.
A few things happened.
Things happened.
Yeah, about that.
Jack, you will get pickups in 10 minutes to record.
Okay, all right.
Jack's like, yay!
Yeah, the work never stops here. I also have to thank Ryan. Thank you for being on for the static fire and the OLM. It has been fun.
Yeah, joined like right as it was all happening. It was I expected the lift to take longer, but you know, I'm not mad it's not. I'm glad it's down. The moment we've been waiting for a while. I can't wait to see them continue to build this thing. And I hope 35 succeeds, because, my goodness, I want to see another re-entry, please, especially with Block 2. Come on, 35, I believe in you. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Fingers are crossed this time around, for sure. We've also had Jack on field comms with us. Thank you for running all around Starbase today, setting all those cameras, and hanging out.
You got it. Thanks, everyone, so much for the support.
Also out in the field, Gage and Caesar running cameras. And, of course, hosting at the start of today's stream was Gene. And pushing all of the buttons and pulling all of the levers has been Jay Keegan. Be sure to stay up to date with everything going on. Of course, just because we are ending this dedicated stream does not mean that the coverage stops. Check out Starbase Live, where you'll be able to see all of the continued work here at Starbase. Make sure you have the notifications on for the channel and for the NSF socials for all of the live streams. There is so much work underway. I have been your host, D-Wise. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with all of you today, and I will see you all next time.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What do you think? Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be